Hey, we are live. It is Sunday, January 22nd, and we are going to take a second for everyone to show up live here. But if you're watching on YouTube, timestamps will be below in the description for your sign and for the channel message and whatever else we end up doing today. So I will see you there, or you can stick around and watch all this. It's up to you. Hello, how's it going? I just saw someone pop up with the username Chillizabeth. I think that's awesome. I love that username. Hey, Jessica Jensen, happy Sunday. Hey. Anna Banana, good to see you. Kit Kat, hey. Jenna Isles, hey. How's it going, everybody? Rockin' Robin, great to see ya. Andy Pandy Pie, great to see you. Baby doll, Anna, good to see you. I love seeing all you guys. I like to see... Marina, great to see you. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? Ooh. We're getting into channel mode here. Or I am in channel mode, they're saying, so I guess we're ready to go. Hey, Mandy Ross. I already asked how everyone is doing. I suppose we could jump into the reading. So we're just going to be doing what we've been doing. Yeah, I don't have any plans to switch it up today as far as the layout of the live, but yes, better than last week. Good. Long time. Hey, Prince Priestess. Great to see you. How are you doing? I hope you are rocking light. You're doing great out there. It was rough energetically. Yeah, last week was like, I don't know. It's fine. We're alive. Right? No, I'm not trying to say that to denigrate what you went through, if I'm saying that word correctly. But no, I understand. Yeah, it's been a little weird energetically lately. What I'm getting is March is going to be way better energetically than where we're at now in January. It's kind of just like a weird, I don't want to say it's like a literal rough start to the year for everyone, but I'm kind of getting that like rough start to the year. And I kept getting like different messages about turbulence for January as well in certain readings that I did, like certain lives. Maybe not for everybody, but it's just been there. And it seems like it's been there in some of the things that have come through for certain people at least. I don't think it's going to be, I mean, people are going through what they're going through. I don't think overall it's going to be that bad for everybody here or anything like that. I'm getting things will be much smoother in March energetically for whatever reason, which will be good. I had anxiety bad the past few days and I had a lot of anger surface last night. Yeah, one of the people I know was kind of just working through anxiety a lot yesterday too. So it's really interesting. Kind of like a purge is what I'm getting for everybody is what I'm getting going on there. A lot of anger surfing. I just also hear the word release when you talk about the anger surfacing as well. Prince Risa says, yeah, I'm worried I might need to end a relationship, and I'm already getting you already know. You already know. Yeah, I feel like you're already leaning in the correct direction with that, but you don't need to end it right away, or is something I'm getting as well. Prince Priestess, I'd sit with it, but you already know. Jenna Isles literally cried thinking about going to the grocery store near me. I hear ya. It's been, I don't want to... I've had certain circumstances where it's been rough for me going out in public as well. I definitely don't want to create more of that or manifest more of that, but it's definitely seemed like the energies have seemed a little bit like edgier or sharper in like certain like even the grocery store or going out to eat or whatever. So I'm not necessarily encouraging everyone to stay indoors, do what you need to do and do what works best for you, but there definitely was a day where my guys were like, don't even go outside, just stay in the house. So, but it'll get better. And I think like a lot of people are just readjusting to who they're becoming and where the energies are going. Sometimes we do just need to like hunker down and just like let certain things dissolve in ourselves that are trying to leave, and bring in new templates that are trying to ground in, if that makes sense. But I'm not really going in a direction they want me to right now with what I'm saying, so I apologize. I think we can keep talking about it, but I don't feel like I'm saying exactly what they would like me to say regarding everything right now. But I also feel like it will get better. It's not going to be like this forever. I feel like a lot of this, if you want to use the word sensitive, is the sensitives are waking up like more. So, and a lot of people are just going through it with like fear of the world. A lot of people out there are going through anxiety, you know, and it could even be things like with the economy and all that, and like world events, which is understandable. I think sometimes that can make it seem a little bit rougher on the sensitives, but it's a good time to bust out all the tools and listen to your intuition and stay home if you're guided to. Or I don't like the term energy protection all the time, but I guess work on energy protection or things like that. Or what I'm hearing more specifically is like, you'll kind of know what to do as things evolve, but because so much is revamping, a lot of people are being called to hunker down and like rest and like evolve, I guess you could say, or settle in the new energies that are coming in. I feel like I'm tripping over my words a little bit, but something like that. That's the sentence I was hearing. No, I understand that for sure. Okay, they're just saying, awesome, jump into the reading. So I guess we'll jump into the reading here. So what would be highest must for us to do here? I'm gonna get the signs out. I know I need to make new signs for the lives here or get a whiteboard, and I fully plan on it. So I will do that. Sometimes like when I get away from like when I leave the lives, sometimes it's just kind of like, okay. And it's like, it's not necessarily out of sight, out of mind, but I just like, I get wrapped up in other things I'm working on or the moment, and I just kind of forget the signs, or it like pops into my head and then I forget to take action on it. So I need to like commit to doing something about these signs here. So we're going to do just a collective reading just for everybody here, everyone who sees this, whether it's now or on YouTube. And so I've got some channel messages here, and my spirit guides and angels and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I go through these. Is this a Target mug? It sure is. I love the, to give more of a story, it's the You've Got This. And the reason I was drawn to this for the more full story, and then we'll get into the reading, is there's, I know that like this isn't necessarily for everyone, this person and the modality, but it's Dr. Dane here with Access Consciousness, and he has this series of like Access Consciousness like audios that you listen to, and he calls it the You Got This series. And like that was like one of the phrases he used in one of the audios. And so like when I saw this, I'm like, I think I'll get it. It's like $3. I'll get it. You got this. It's just like a good, because one thing he said is like people don't hear it enough. Like people don't say it enough. It's like, you got this. So I'm like, I like that. I'll buy the mug. Morning, handsome. I love that for you. That's awesome. So, okay. We're diving right into the collective reading. So it's for you when you see it. And if you're live now, it's for you now. So the first thing they showed me, and this came through, I think, for the weekly reading that I did on Tuesday for TikTok and Instagram. And they showed me grapes, and it was just a message of higher rewards coming for everybody here, I suppose. And as far as like what higher rewards are, it can be a little bit different for everyone, but some of the examples I heard is spiritual gifts, higher manifestations, things will be easier, just hang in there for some of you is what I'm hearing as well. But it's kind of like if you've been toiling for a long time and you haven't seen any rewards for your efforts, or you haven't seen anything happen, and then all of a sudden you see like the plant starts to sprout and then it starts to grow. They're showing me Jack and the bean sprout as well. Excuse the creaking from upstairs. They're showing me Jack and the Bean Sprout as well, but it's like from the movie like Puss in Boots. If you ever guys saw the Puss in Boots movie, the first one, I haven't seen the sequel. And like there's this whole thing where they like plant the bean sprout and then it just like boom, it just like grows like ridiculously like rapidly. That's, I'm not going to promise that's, well, let me see what they would like to say about it fully for that. It's good here. For some of you, not all, like you've been like toiling for a long time on something and something's about to like pop off, or something's about to like sprout and you're really excited. For others of you, it's something you've known is going to come in and it like finally manifests is something I'm getting. And for others, yet, actually, those are kind of the main two, is what I'm getting. But it can show up in different ways, like it's gifts, higher manifestations, things like that. I do also get like the universe has a new direction for you. That's been kind of a common message recently as well, for whatever reason. And it could potentially be like a new year, new you thing. Because I'm hearing that quote, new year, new you. Because at least at the time we're doing this live, it's just 2023, as of 22 days ago. And let's see what's going on here. Like a lot of you need a new direction is what I'm hearing. Others of you still like crave it actually. And I'd say by March or April, something like that is coming in. If you're watching on YouTube after this is done live or facilitated live, give yourself like 6 months is something I'm getting, which I know is a different time frame a little bit, but that's what I'm hearing. So I'll roll with that time frame. Either a couple months or it's 6 months or somewhere in between or something like that. And I don't know. If it doesn't show up in 6, give it 7. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. Which is good, actually. But a lot of you guys need that. So that's cool. And as far as like what that's going to look like or what that means, it's different for each of you. It's work is the first thing I'm hearing. Like it's regarding work. For some of you, it's like a relationship or like a change that's happening there that needs to. For some reason, I'm also getting like a visual of some of you, not all of you, but some of you like saying goodbye to like old friends and like going on a journey, whether you're moving somewhere new or just going on a trip, like to Europe is something they're showing me, but it could be different than Europe as well. And they're just saying that's a good move. So that's you're considering that. That is probably not all of you, but that's a good move is something I'm getting to make, whether it's that travel or a move you're making or something like that. Like where you have to say goodbye to like certain old friends or something like that, depending on who you are and what feels right to you. And if you're hearing this and you're not sure, like wait for more information. You don't have to jump on that. Is something I'm getting as well, just in case any of you are confused. So the next message that came through here is that this is a time of manifestation. And they were like, that's meaning manifest your butt off and take action as well on those. And like results are nice. So this is like a really good time to put your like intentions out there for the year if you haven't already, or just for the next couple months or whatever you're feeling. Like now is the time to like sit down and like make a list and go, and like not delay is something they're saying as well. And Mercury in retrograde is over. It just ended like 4 days ago, I believe. Not that always matters, but the time to go is now is something I'm getting as far as like taking action on things and putting things into motion. I'm just getting like you would like, as far as if you're watching this live, like you want, what's the best way to say this? Momentum by March. They gave me like the phrase that you want steam by March, but they were also showing me like a steam engine. So you want like steam in the steam engine by March to like move things forward. Like the word, my translation is momentum. Like you want momentum by March, or things like in place, or you're putting things in place like by March to move things forward. At least for some of you. If some of you are just not sure what to do, it's like, that's okay. Hold off, rest. Let the clarity come. You'll take action at the right time. This is not a prison sentence, is something I'd say. And I know I'm not pulling tarot cards, but I'm also hearing the phrase like treating tarot. I think they're also borrowing from a quote I've heard, but treating tarot like a prison sentence is just like a bad move. Like you're not always stuck with the answers you're getting, depending on the reader or reading. I know there's certain readers that like you go to them and they're like always accurate, and you're like, I don't know, they just always seem to be accurate, but it's also not a prison sentence. And they want me to tell you this as well. It's just as advice for anyone who needs to hear it for this reading. One thing, it's going to sound weird, but one thing you can do if you get a tarot reading and it just seems like there's some like doom and gloom, or there's just like, what's the best way to say this? there's some type of like answer you get or message that comes through and you're like, that doesn't sound good to me. Or there's like a lot of like fear that starts to come up about it just based on past circumstances. One thing that might help is like universe, just saying like universe, ask for the highest and best like results and outcomes regarding that message, like the highest and best possibilities of how that can show up for me. I'm asking for that. So it's like, I don't know what you could say. It's not overly burdensome or something like that. Or another phrase that I've used that's seemed to work is like, universe, I'm asking for mercy regarding this. Like I'm asking for mercy, please. And sometimes maybe we do get in our heads a little bit when we get a message and we think, oh, this means something terrible is going to happen. Like if someone's like a reader's like, oh, there's going to be a difficult ending. An example that I could pull from is if a reader's like, there's going to be a difficult ending and you're not sure what to do. And like the mind probably instantly goes to like, oh, my wife and I, or my husband and I, or my job is I'm going to get fired. It's like, it seems to, maybe not always, maybe for some of you, like your guides jump in, you're like, yeah, don't worry about it. But, but if you're just like, universe, I'm asking for mercy, please, like regarding those negative messages, please, if it's for the highest good, you can just smooth that over or make it like not like a little bump or just not a big deal, and just give me the most merciful results regarding that message. And that's been helpful for me when I do that, because I got that message and then they don't want me to give this example. What example do you want me to give? I'd like to do the best I can for you guys. What example can I give that would help you guys? I just noticed it takes the edge off is what I'll say. So in case you've watched a reading that you felt like something negative was going to happen, maybe that'll be helpful. And I've heard it said where, what's the best thing to say here? Sometimes like tarot or like the readings can be like a spectrum. So like you get like a negative answer and you think it's going to be a big deal, but it's just like a boop, you know? And then sometimes maybe you hear something like sounds small, but then it's big. But you can also ask the universe for more information or to, you know, try and get you the message in a different way that explains it better or more clarification. Or you could just ask for the most merciful results. Like you can ask to maybe maximize the good and mitigate the bad. Or I know good and bad are words that are not, they're not always the best words to use, but you know what I'm trying to communicate when I use those words, hopefully. And I'm not trying to be like, I don't know. I know like sometimes you have to watch out for like the term like spiritual bypassing or anything like that. And it's not really that is what I'm getting. It's more taking charge of your destiny and like realizing like you're in the cockpit of your life. And you can manifest and like co-create with the universe in these things. You're not like stuck with it is all I'm trying to say. Like you do have a say, like you do have a sway. And I know like sometimes it's like not necessarily always. Sometimes the universe is like, no, we got to do this thing. Like we got to take this thing. We're sorry. Or we got to bring this cool thing in, whether you like it or not. I don't know. But that's for some reason something I felt called to talk about right now and just bring through. Because I just think sometimes people feel stuck with it or like they're in a spiritual prison regarding like a tarot reading they watched or something. Sorry, I'm not saying that perfectly, but can you help me say it perfectly going forward? Anyways, next message that following that tangent, hopefully that was helpful. That I have here for you. They just talked about storms. And I know we just kind of talked about that whole message about the all that stuff. But the thing with storm, they gave me the quote like April showers bring May flowers. They just said if you are, all that aside, if you are going through a storm right now in your life, or if one comes up, God forbid, I don't know, unless it's for the highest good. They're just saying like it's just watering your garden. It's not out to like get you. It like won't even be that bad as something I'm getting like in the long term. I think sometimes it's kind of what we just talked about. Like we see a storm, we're like, oh God, it's going to be so bad. It's going to rip the roof off of my house. Tornado's going to come and just destroy my garden and my home. And I'm going to be homeless. You know, like all this like stuff comes up, not literally, but I'm talking more metaphorically about storms of life, of course, because usually people see storms like, oh, cool, I'm going to sit on my porch and drink wine and watch the tornado rip apart the neighbor's house or something. I don't know, whatever. Hopefully not, of course, but that's just, you know, like the dudes with the camcorders on YouTube. But sometimes it's just watering the garden. It's just bringing the rain. Sometimes it's what you asked for. It's just like another way for that to show up or to like clear a path for things to show up for you or make space. Sometimes it's not even that bad. It's just, again, like, it's cool. You sit on the front porch, you watch the storm. I feel like usually storms of life are not cool when you sit on the front porch and watch the storm. Usually you're like, what the heck is going on? And you're kind of freaked out. But I feel like you guys are going to be fine. And it's just allowing things to grow is something I'm getting. And keeping things from turning into a desert, you could say, by watering things. Even if it seems haphazard, there's like a design to the quote unquote madness. So don't worry about it. It's something I'm getting as well here. And I just, as a final message on this one, if you're going through a storm, you're going to be fine, is what I'd say as well. They are showing me a lightning strike next, and Thor is showing up, interestingly enough. And it's interesting because Thor like hits a tree with his hammer, and like there's like a lightning strike, and he's kind of like muttering. He's just like, sometimes lightning like serves a purpose. It's not. Can you repeat what you just said, please? He's just something along the lines of like, sometimes lightning serves a purpose. It's not always like bad or like out to get you or whatever. He's kind of like muttering under his breath a little bit after that sentence for whatever reason. I think sometimes but certain people sometimes have a tendency to judge things as like bad or lightning bad, but maybe it's just like protecting you from something, or maybe the storm is keeping something else that's like worse away because it doesn't want to venture through the storm or something. So there's always a design is something I'm getting, and you don't need to be afraid regarding anything. Well, what's the best thing to say here? You just don't need to be afraid regarding any storms in your life is something I'm getting as well. The next thing they're showing me is a race, almost like an IndyCar kind of 500 race or IndyCar race, interestingly enough. And it almost looked like a bit of the visual they showed me looked kind of video game-y, but I don't think that is important in the message. So let me see what the message is here. So for whatever reason, we're kind of on this like messages on like the year kind of kick right now still. I guess it's January, at least for this message. And they're kind of just talking about how like this year is not a race, and like treating this year or like your immediate circumstances this year like a race is probably going to make you more miserable than it is going to be helpful. Because they're kind of showing this like example of like, some people are on rocket ships. They're just like rocketing towards their destination. Other people are just like on the swing in the playground. They're just living their life. Some people in this race, I guess I don't even know if they're part of the race. I don't know what's going on there. Some people are like riding like slugs, like giant slugs to the finish line. It's really slow. Other people are just in like cars, whether it's an old like beat up car or it's an Indy car. So it's like everyone's kind of like in this different vehicle. So like treating it like a race is almost unfair just because of the different circumstances is something I'm getting. I would focus more on like, what do you need right now? Like if you're riding the slug, it's like, what does the slug need to like move faster? Or is this the proper pace for you? And you're actually very happy with this if you don't treat it like a race. And it's actually very nice. Like if you're in the rocket ship, like, is the rocket ship good? Are you comparing yourself to the people who are moving really slowly and be like, am I going too fast? Like, they're like, don't worry about that. Go at your own pace. So for whatever reason, if you needed this analogy, I would just not treat life like a race this year, but really just check up on your needs and like, am I okay? Am I getting what I need? Am I going in the proper direction? Is this even the race I want to run? Or am I like just putting myself into this because of society's standards or anything like that? Like, you don't need to do that is something I'm getting. But if you take it at your own pace, you're going to be happy. And that's just kind of what I'm getting for whatever reason. I feel like there's more though. What's the best way to round this message out here? I'm hearing it sounds like a bit more intense, but I'm just going to bring through the sentence they gave me where it's like comparing yourself to others is a recipe for disaster right now, just because so many different people are in so many different places, and it's just not the way to help you move forward is something I'm hearing. It's just not going to be helpful because everyone's just in a little bit of a different place. So just keep that in mind is something I'd say. If you need to hear this, by the way, I'm just getting this message like everyone is safe from like curses or anything like that. It's just a random message coming in. They show me like a hex nut. It's like a hexagon nut, and that's just the message they brought through for whatever reason. It's like, like you're safe from that. I feel like worrying about it's just going to cause like needless worry. If you're someone who's worried about that, I don't think that message is for everyone, but like, don't worry about that. You're fine. That's something I'm getting. Next thing they're showing me is like a Mack truck, like a semi truck here, and it's hauling something. So what's going on with the Mack truck hauling something here? And they're also showing me, like, as I close my, nope, doesn't matter. Okay, what should I hone in on here? It's really funny because this Mack truck in this visual is actually like a magic Mack truck. Like, it has the triple moon symbol, like I think that's usually more of like a witchy symbol, right? But like on its grill, it has like the triple moon symbol, and it's like hauling these like magical items that are out for delivery. So give me a second to get like what this means for you guys. What's the message here? Fully flies good. It's kind of a message about how the universe is handing out new tools for everybody, like the right tools to the right person. Like, one person needs like this is metaphorical, sort of. It's also kind of literal, but we'll get to that. Like, one person needs like a broomstick, like a new broomstick. The next person gets like a cauldron to help them with like manifesting or their creation. Other people, some people get like an easel and like a paintbrush. So the reason there's so much rest happening, or will be happening soon for many of you, is there's like a lot of recalibration to the new energies coming into Earth, like the new blueprints people are stepping into that their soul already had online. It's just like, it's time for them to step into the time period where they're utilizing it more, is something I'm getting. And I don't know if I need to explain blueprints a bit more. It's just a way to explain. I feel like I'm using these words that might, it does explain it, but I don't know. It's like, what's the best way to say this? The way I'll do my best to describe this is, sometimes we have these like templates of like the person we are, or the energies we carry that we bring to the world, that our soul brings to us, is what I'm hearing is the way to describe this right now. And it can be part of your mission or the way you're meant to impact others. And don't take this too literally, please. Just take it as a a way to describe something energetically. But it's like, what I'm getting is like, people are stepping into new blueprints right now. We're kind of bringing in those new energetics, and the Earth needs like new things. We've kind of wrapped up in some ways like this phase where the old us isn't needed anymore for many of you, is something I'm getting in this time frame. So the reason so much rest is going on is like to assimilate that, you could say, or realize what that is even, or step into that. And it's kind of like going through a portal, as something they're showing me. It's like, you kind of just like wake up feeling differently, or you feel called on a new mission. And it's always been there. Your soul's always had it, like cooking, I guess you could say. It's just like time is the way I'll say it. So we're all kind of venturing into that. Well, what's the best way to say that? That's just something that's coming in right now for a lot of you. So be patient with yourself right there. And I feel like that kind of time period is, if you're watching this live, is like through March. And I suppose if you're watching this in the future, that's just over the next few months. So that's like what they wanted to say for the collective reading, for whatever reason, for right now. I don't remember if I completed the Mack truck message, but it's kind of like we're also getting new tools along with all that. New ways of being. And it could literally be new energetic tools. It could show up as you learning like a new modality. It could show up as like a skill or talent you're unearthing from a past life or something like that. There's a lot of different ways it could show up, but there's just new tools coming in to help you move forward, I suppose, is how you could say. And I'm hearing the words like special delivery, but it's like an angel saying it. Like the angel was like driving the truck. He's like, special delivery. So so in some of you guys are like revamping your gifts too, to be better. So if you feel like you have a down day where you need to rest, that's part of it. So I feel like, is there anything else that we need to get to? So Dragonfly is showing up. He likes to show up sometimes. And he's landing on this twig, and then this dragonfly, it's really interesting because he starts to kind of like shrivel up a little bit, but it's like, this is not how dragonflies operate to my knowledge, but he's like, the intuitive message that's coming through is like, he is shedding his skin and like birthing into a new dragonfly, or birthing something entirely new that's like never been before seen in the world. Maybe it's like a mutant dragonfly. But it is like the next step in evolution. And like a lot of you are stepping into that now in your life. So if things seem a little topsy-turvy or like upended, it's like you've just, again, stepped into like all new energies, like you're upgrading, something new is birthing, and you're going to like it, is something I'm getting. It's not a bad thing at all. So, and it's part of your mission. So things are going to change, but it's definitely for the better. And I would just hang in there for now, is something I'm getting on that one. And not worry too much about it, because it'll work out for the best. And the other thing they're saying, this feels like it's very specific, and it could just stand on its own, as like, it almost feels like someone might have just like clicked right to this part on YouTube or something in the future. But it was this message like, you wouldn't be on this mission if you couldn't handle it, whether it's facilitating healing for others, or healing something in yourself, or bringing joy to the world, or it's tough or it's easy or whatever. You wouldn't be on this mission if you couldn't handle it. And that could tie into exactly what I was just saying. It could also stand on its own. So I'm going to close the reading there, and we're going to move on to the fire signs. So I hope that was helpful and did whatever is for that is good for it to do. And I'm going to drink some coffee. You're welcome. Okay. We're going to the fire signs, sun, moon, or rising. That was for everybody. Krista. Someone was saying something about calling the mothership, and the words I just hear are like, okay, bye, your choice. So, but I'm wishing you well regardless, whether you feel like you can do the mission or not, or you want to do something else. I totally understand. And maybe you'll just find something better that's for you, that is your actual mission. And maybe the mission you're tired of isn't the actual mission. Or maybe you're getting a new one. So let's move on to the fire signs, sun, moon, or rising. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, this is for you when you see it. And turn this under, please. They told me not to do that again live. Okay, I'll just, yeah. So okay, here we go. So the first thing that came through for the fire sign, sun, moon, or rising is, and of course it's for you when you see it. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's for you when you see it. It's timeless. But if you're here live, it's for you now. For the fire signs, and they like to be punny with this sometimes, but the first message I got was burning away issues. Like, you guys are going to be leaving issues behind left and right. And it's a time for rapid growth and leaving like behind a lot of the old, even like friendships is the first word that comes in as I read that is friendships as well. But also like just within you, you're leaving a lot behind. Also just as trite as it might sound, they didn't like that I said that, sorry. Stepping out of old paradigms. And they're like, you don't need to preface things like that. Sorry, guys. I'll do better. But you guys are going to be on a whole other level, like a higher level, which is good as well. They're showing me golf for some reason as well. And on the topic of missions, they're showing it like you're on this mission and you think you have like leagues to go. You think you're like miles and miles away from your destination. But if you were to equate it to a golf game, you're on the 18th hole. You're like on the last round of golf. And some of you are like, oh, I can't do it anymore. But you really just need to take like one more shot or give it one more last piece of effort is something I'm getting. And it's either things turn around or it's like the game's over and you go on with your life or go on to something different. So the way they're showing it to me is some type of layer is leaving. Like it's a layer of you, it's a layer of your life. And it's been something you've been working through. I guess you could use the analogy of like an orange, like working through the peel of an orange to get to the actual fruits. That wasn't the right way to say it. What's the right way to say it? It's like a layer of you that you need to release or that you're working through that you need to release. You might say a layer of your life. That doesn't feel as accurate or right to me though. For many of you, I feel like it's like a layer of you. So I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like you've been working on this for a while. So some of you like, and this is may or may not apply to the person I was just talking to before I started this reading. But it's what's coming through. Like some of you are just like about to quit, but I wouldn't right now. I'd give it like one more shot is something I'm getting, whether it's work, whether it's something in your life or it's healing or something like that. Like try one more thing is something I'm getting. The next thing that showed up was ox. It was about strength. They just said like, be sure you are knowing you are strong enough. And like that sentence was like a really weird grammatical sentence, but they said it twice. Be sure you are knowing you are strong enough. But they also kind of gave the phrase like, be sure you are girding your strength and seeing yourself as a strong person, not a weak person. You are not a weak person. It is, and this is also just one of the spirit animals that might be helping you very strongly right now. And I believe they used to use like oxen to like till the fields back in the day, or for some reason I'm getting the memory of Oregon Trail, the computer game that they would put on in the 90s in school. And like, I think oxen were an option there to like pull your wagon, but I don't quite remember. Anyways, where are we going with this besides that, if anywhere? For some reason, they just have this message of like seeing yourself as strong because you are. That might even help. Sometimes we have like self-fulfilling prophecies where it's just like, oh, I'm weak, I know. And then it's just like, what do you get? But if you're like, you know, I'm strong, or maybe I don't want to handle this, but I can, or I don't want to move forward, but I will. It's just, and they're kind of showing the concept of someone who, it's almost like learned helplessness is kind of what's popping in, but I don't think that's like the main message. That might be part of it, but you know, people who like sit down, they like lay down in like 3 feet of water and they think they're drowning, but if they stood up, they're totally fine. I feel like that's you, is something I'm getting. If you were to like stand up and really look at it, you'd be like, okay, I don't necessarily like being like waist deep or chest deep in water, but I'm okay. It's like I can move forward. I can pull my wagons across the river on the Oregon Trail or whatever. So it's kind of a message of not seeing yourself as weak so you don't create yourself as weak, if that makes sense. The next message came up, and it was also about trial and tribulation. And they showed like a fire walk, like like the Tony Robbins fire walk. My understanding is that fire walks don't even hurt. They're just kind of like something you'd overcome that would like seem nerve-wracking, I guess. And pretty much what they said is like trials are not what they seem. Like they are actually helping you on a growth trajectory. They are not out to get you. I feel like if you're going through anything right now, you're just growing. It's temporary. I'm hearing the time frame of like a few months. I know like sometimes we have different things we're going through for different amounts of time. Like I don't know, some things last years. Sometimes like you have a challenge arise and it's years. But I feel like that's not you, and that's not the message they had for you regarding this. I feel like this is something that's ending in a couple months. So just know you'll grow and move on is something I'm getting. There's also like a message about pulling the swords out of your back. Kind of like, it almost reminds me of like the Ten of Swords tarot card. It's like some of you are still pulling the swords out of your back from a defeat or like a loss. And I would just, I know there's all these messages about being strong, but I would also be gentle on yourself. And sometimes that takes strength to be gentle. In general, I'm kind of mincing quotes here. I'm so sorry. But I would be gentle on yourself if that's the case. And just acknowledge the fact that you're going through something and not ignore it is something I'm getting as well. But you will get those swords out of your back in a couple months is something I'm getting, if not sooner. So the next message coming out here, they showed me coals. They just said fuel is being added to the fire for your passions. So we're switching gears a little bit. So you can move forward towards your passions. You are going to be feeling a lot more passionate this year. Maybe even this moment onwards, but sometime soon and onwards, or maybe you're already feeling this way. But I think sometimes we forget our passions is what I'm hearing. We forget what we're meant for, but your focus is being redirected to like what fills you up, what you're passionate about, so you don't forget, and so you know the right way to go. And some of the trials you're going through are just like reminding you of that, so you bring that in more, and you're not forgetting what fills you up is something I'm getting. I also feel like you're going to be fine, by the way. Sometimes things like seem bigger than they are when it comes to like challenges or like something we don't want to go through. Again, like they're showing me like someone like they just need to like stand up there in like 3 feet of water, but like they think they're like in the deep ocean and like the giant squid's gonna get them or something, but they're just in the pool with a rubber duck, so I'm not trying to like denigrate your trials or anything, but I feel like you're gonna be okay for at least the vast majority of you tuning in, if not all. But I feel like all of you are going to be fine. The next thing they showed me here was just a train, and it was about a series of events that are like healing to you. And so the universe does have you on the fast track for healing right now. This does not have to be bad or rough. It just is, but you are going to be healing very quickly. You know, perhaps a lot of the challenges are healing you, are forcing you to look at yourself and build awareness in areas that will bring healing to you, or keep you out of trouble in the future if you're having to like learn a lesson or gain awareness in a certain area. It might just be preventing you from going down a dark path in the future or something along those lines. It's almost like keeping you out of jail, but it's like metaphorical. It might not, for some of you, maybe it's literal jail, but for others of you, it's more of like a metaphysical, not, I don't think metaphysical jails exist. Metaphorical jail is what I'm trying to say. It's curious. It's interesting to me that word came out though. Is there anything on that? I need to talk. What would be highest supposed to come through about that here? One message is just to make sure, never mind. If they want to circle back to it, I'll let them circle back to it, but they're saying not to say what I was about to say. So here we go. What else would be for that's good to say about this train and the fast track and the events that are healing here? It's just not like again, I've been saying this over and over again, but the train ride is not permanent. The fast track to healing. I'm so sorry. What would be as much for me to say here? The sentence I hear that's very simple is like, there might be a lot you've been asking to heal that is healing, and that's kind of what's going on there. So we're going to switch gears, and if they want to circle back, they will. But they're showing me a duck, and what's up with, or they showed me a duck, excuse me. What's up with the duck here? Do you guys, for some reason, they're giving me this quote, like, not everything is as it seems. I suppose there's that like very common quotes of like the duck that like paddles very hard under the surface, but like he seems very calm and collected as he's just kind of swimming through the water here. One message for you guys is like, it is going to be time to turn on the jets here, whether it's regarding a project or something you'd like to do in the physical, like a business or even like work. Just trust, like, if you are being called to like turn on the jets in any like project or physical circumstance, regardless of the other messages, like I feel like you're going to be successful regarding it. And like the universe isn't putting you on the fast track with something for like no reason. Like there's destiny involved, or like something you need to be ready for is something I'm getting as well. And you guys are on the right track. So you aren't really messing up this time period. And you are not really messing up that time period, in case I didn't say that word very clearly. Which is good here. They also just said like you guys are moving mountains right now, or you're going to be. And I feel like that could be through your manifestation, through your healing, through everything you've been going through. You're definitely being prepared for something like big is something I'm getting, whether it's big to you in your personal life, like, it could be a romance if you're single, or it's like big to the world and like a project you're working on for the world. You're being prepared for more than you realize right now. I think just sometimes people get into a frame of mind, or they think like, oh, life just sucks, or something like that. And they don't always realize where like what they're going through is leading them, or what's being prepared for them through some of the maybe even more extenuating circumstances they're going through. And so whether things are extenuating or not, you are being prepared for something like big, whether it's big to you or big for you and the world. And anything else I need to say about that? Nope. I would just know that and just call in that SMS for you to call in here. They are showing me a crystal castle next here. And they're kind of showing me these like two, for some reason they're giving me this phrase like there's dreamland and then there's reality. And for dreamland, they're showing me this crystal castle like in the clouds. And they're showing this reality. And for the reality, they're showing this like peasant toiling in the fields. But they like keep dreaming of like crystal castles in the sky. The catch is that the crystal castles actually exist. The person just needs to take action. They might need to view themselves a little bit differently and see themselves as worthy of it, because they are. But they just need to like start building or like architecting and like designing. And taking action towards it, because a lot of the things that are dreams are actually not just dreams, like they're possible. you just need to take action. This is your reminder to take action. So I would be doing that. And I feel like this first half of 2023, and if you're watching this in the future, it'll probably be about the next 3 to 6 months for you. Like, it's about taking action and like doing. And I know we just talked about this phrase of like resting right now, or new templates come in. So yeah, that's happening right now. Rest, and then the action will come in the right time, or you'll be resting in between spurts of action. Like, you don't have to get too caught up in your head about those messages. Like, those things can coexist, or you'll be resting and then taking a lot of action like in February or soon. But this first 6 months, it's a good time to be like action oriented or taking a lot of action towards things you'd like to create or do. I feel like that'll be helpful. I feel like we've had, what's the best way to say it? Maybe not totally true for everybody, but the message I'm hearing is like, there's like been plenty of time to rest with like Mars retrograde or some of the things that have been going on. So it's going to be time to put things into motion soon, if not now. So that's kind of what I'm getting for the fire signs right now. I hope that was helpful and did whatever was for the highest good for it to do for all of you. Would it be for the highest good for me to pull a card right now? They want to give me one last channel message, no card. So that's fine by me. What's the channel message here? For some reason, there's like a message of looking at the reality of your situation right now, and not just thinking dreams will happen on their own. And typically I still feel like this holds true, like ask and you will receive. But sometimes us taking action is part of our ask and you will receive, if that makes sense. Like, if my example I always use is, if you want to build a following on social media, you probably have to post on social media. If you want to write a book, you probably have to sit down and write that book. Or even like if you hire a ghostwriter, you still have to take the action of like looking for a ghostwriter, hiring a ghostwriter. And if you have a personal assistant, you still have to send the email to the personal assistant for them to look to hire a ghostwriter. You still got to do something. So you know what I'm trying to say with that here. But they were trying to like give me this message of like looking at the reality of your situation. And they just showed like someone who was kind of like, it didn't look pretty. I'm going to be honest. They just had like a rebar like sticking into them. And they're kind of like laying on this battlefield, or they're like trying to move forward, and they're like, oh, there's like rebar stuck in me or something. Like it's not a pretty sight. So I'm sorry if that's like not fun. But it's a metaphor, so what's the message here? They're like just kind of like, you know what? First you have to acknowledge the rebar and like bend it so you can like heal it or something like that. Or you can bend it so it's like straight, you can like step out of it, or acknowledge it so you're not like beating up on yourself for not like running the marathon like the person who's totally healthy. It's like, first, if this is feeling like you in some way metaphorically, like acknowledge it. 2, take action to heal it. 3, then you're going to need to take action on your dreams, is something I'm getting with that one. But others of you are just like in process of healing this like metaphorical rebar and the situation, and you're well aware of it, and that's the right path for you, is something I'm hearing. And I feel like I'm talking to like different groups of you guys, or like different areas of the group here. So give me 1 second to like really hone in on this, just get the right message for you. I feel like you know what I'm saying. Like, I would take time to heal, and not just like, for anyone who needs to hear it, like not just live in fantasy land and think everything's fine. If I don't like that message, but it's what I'm hearing. So hopefully for whoever needed that, it's helpful. I'm definitely not trying to like be a jerk or anything with any of that. But for others of you, or maybe for all of you, I feel like dreams will come true. It's just like you need to take action. So I'm going to close the reading there. I hope that was helpful. And we're going to move to the earth signs next. Someone was saying something about their heart chakra healing the more they listen to me, and perfect. I'm so glad you're receiving that from this, and I'm honored to be able to facilitate whatever is happening, or, you know, be here helping to facilitate it, even if I'm just the conduit or however it's working. But I'm glad that's happening nonetheless, and may it continue in the highest and best ways, should it be in the highest good, however much is for the highest good. So we're going to the Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and they're just slapping it on here. And I don't have a lot prepped really for the rest of the signs. We're just going to flow with what comes through. That's just what they had me do, and it's what I had time for, but I'm just going to trust that that's exactly how it was supposed to turn out here. I know we already used the golf analogy, but they're starting out with the golf analogy right away for the Earth signs here in a different way here. And it's about just teeing off, like you're on the first hole here. And they're kind of giving a message, first of all, like if you're playing golf, and we'll get more clarification on this too. It's like the last game doesn't matter. Like it does in some ways, but it's like if you're teeing off, you're starting a new round, like the last game doesn't matter. You're on a whole new like score system or point system. And so it's, for some reason, the words I'm hearing, I'm going to ask for more clarification, as well as like stop thinking things like carry over, like they don't necessarily. And it might be about a job, but let's see what's going on here. Fully, if that's good here. If you're starting something new, whatever it is, job, project, relationship, do your best to like show up as your best and put your best like foot forward and do your best work possible. Because it's like a whole new ball game. It's the points of the last game don't matter. I think like what my brain also says is like, yeah, but you gained like, you learned to get better in the last game. Hopefully, like you refined something about your game. You got a lesson out of how you hit the ball and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, that's part of it. But as far as the points and what you're going for, it's like, if you're starting something fresh, like forget everything and like do your best in this new endeavor. So if you're doing anything new, I would like really just do your best with it. And not worry about what you did before, whether it was good or bad. The last game doesn't matter is something they're saying. So anything else on this here? It's kind of about starting a whole new phase of life though. Not all of you are, but a good many of you are or will soon this year is something I'm getting. They want you to put your best foot forward. That's their recommendation. They'd like you to try your hardest with something new and not like coast into it and think everything's like taken care of. They're like, no, you got to put the effort in, regardless of what you're creating. Like, don't worry about what you've done before. Like, this is its own thing. So, let's see what else we had much for to get to today here. I also just feel like you're good. Like they're still showing me the golf. They were also showing me the Titanic. We'll get to that in a second or something similar, but I feel like you're good. Like whatever this is regarding, whatever is going on, like you are like good at something and you need to own that and move forward with that knowledge. It's just going to help you have more confidence in what you're doing. So for some of you, it's art and it's painting. For some of you, it literally is business. For others of you, it's like a skill. And it's like the more you acknowledge you're good, the easier of a time you have is something I'm getting there. So with the Titanic or this ship or whatever they're showing me here, I feel like you are strong enough that the challenges of the past are not going to affect you the same way. Because they're showing the Titanic with like, it has like reinforced steel on its hull. And it kind of just like, one, I feel like it'll avoid the icebergs, but it also just like is not affected by the icebergs like it was before. Like, of course, like the Titanic sank, hit an iceberg, it's done. But in this visual, it's just like busting through them. Like it's not affected. And I'm not saying the challenges of the past are going to repeat themselves. One, I feel like you've learned your lesson regarding anything like that, especially like regarding relationships. Two, you would not have to worry about the challenges of the past because they would be easy if you had to come up against them again. You're like a whole new person. So they want to talk about this new phase more as well that they were starting to talk about here. They're giving me the word ease. One, I would invite in ease. I always recommend like when you're manifesting, like asking for ease. For some reason, they want me to talk about it as well. And I get this more from a modality called Access Consciousness. I'm not even like a certified practitioner or anything. I just, for whatever reason, I am at times drawn to work with their tools or things they teach. And one thing they talk about is like ease. They're like, life can be easy. Like that's a possibility. It doesn't have to be difficult. We have so many like stories and societal programming and the conditioning that it has to be difficult, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So why are we talking about this here? One, I feel like there is going to be more ease for you because you are stronger and wiser. Two, you've earned it. And There's this one analogy they brought through in a different reading I did. I think it was for the membership, one of the membership readings. And it was like, when it comes to like a classical like violinist or musician, or someone who gets their income from like being a professional musician like that, they go through like the struggle, and for some of them it's probably a joy because they're passionate about learning the instrument, but they go through the struggle of like learning, and like if you're playing guitar, like you have to get the calluses on your finger, and like just going through that beginner's like phase and that intermediate phase, that advanced phase to master something, like for it to be easy for them to play that instrument and to like play that instrument with ease. And for some reason they're giving me this like quote, like, can't life be the same way? Like where maybe like you learn certain things so you can live life with ease, or master certain areas of life and have ease with them. Two, I think you can just manifest it. I think that's a possibility as well. But why are we talking about this here? They're just saying like, you've gone through the struggle, now invite in ease, now try it with ease, or see if you can do this with ease, is something I'm getting as a message. And it's about the phase in general. It could be about something specific for you guys, but I feel like it's more about this phase in general. So, but there's also just no reason to keep things difficult. And I know I'm kind of speaking like 2 or 3 different messages at the same time concurrently, but it seems like to me, maybe I'm not, but what else do they want to say with this ease thing here? So I would ask for ease, invite in ease, do what you can with that. But like the person like learning the classical instrument goes through the struggle to have ease. One, so don't think life is always going to be a struggle. Two, you can be like that master musician and go through the struggle to have ease. Or maybe you don't have to go through a struggle to have ease. Maybe you can just have it. But that's just a message that's coming through for you right now regarding this next phase. One, I think it's going to be easier. Two, I'd invite it in. Three, like, there's no reason to keep struggling if you need to hear that. So what else would be highest best for us to get to for the earth signs here? There was one channel message that came through ahead of time. They showed me an alien. And this message has been coming through a bit recently about like rare events, but they just said like there are going to be like unusual events that elevate you spiritually and energetically, whether you like meet a rare person and they have like a weird message for you, or maybe you're just having like rare spiritual events or happenings, or what does this even mean here? Like maybe there are certain things that don't happen to a lot of people spiritually. And I don't mean this is going to be bad, by the way. I don't think it's going to be bad. It's probably going to be very positive. I like hearing messages a certain way or seeing certain things, but you're going to something like that. But it's also like there to help you elevate spiritually and energetically. And if things just like seem unusual, or you're being guided down an unusual path, or like weird, rare circumstances are happening, it's for your elevation is something I'm getting here. They're also yelling water at me. Do I need to drink water? What's up with the water here? If you need to hear this might just be a reminder for some of you. I would just make sure you're drinking plenty of water. I feel like it will just help you in life. Sometimes we don't realize how much those simple things are going to help us as we're doing that. So let's see here. They're showing me a mountain, or like that visual. If you're in the US, I'm not sure if the Cliff Bars are outside of the US, but there's this snack bar called a Cliff Bar, and they have like a ton of sugar in them, so I don't even like them necessarily. I feel like they're very strange as like a touted health bar. But there's this visual, or there used to be, of like a dude like climbing a cliff on the Cliff Bar, and he's kind of like on the side of it, or like hanging off of it. So what's going on here? They're showing like, kind of probably to just summarize an earlier message, or maybe it's a new one, but they're showing challenge being erased. I feel like some of you are expecting like certain amounts of challenge to move forward with you into this next phase of life, but it won't. It's like we've just been talking about, you've earned ease is something I'm getting, so you're going to be having it. They're showing me an eruption next, but they're also showing me something along like tectonic plates of the earth shifting, kind of like what would happen with an earthquake. What's going on here? And they're showing me, okay, a sinkhole. If some type of metaphorical like sinkhole opens up in your life, and like it just feels like a part of your life becomes a sinkhole, I don't feel like it's actually becoming a sinkhole. I feel like it's becoming the foundation of something new that needs to come in. So I know this comes through quite often, but I think it can be important sometimes as a reminder. Like if you're like losing something, or you feel like something's like falling apart, or you're like looking at something, you're like, oh, that's interesting, like that thing is like collapsing over there. It's just becoming the foundation of something new, and it might not even be bad. You might be like, yes, burn to the ground. Burn to the ground, old job. But that's just kind of something they're showing me as well, which is interesting. They want me to pull a card, so what deck do they want me to use? So we're doing the Mother Mary Oracle card deck here. So Our Lady of Sacred Waters, and the first word I'm getting is healing. I'm getting like it's about healing. So what's going on here with this card for you guys? So there is a lot of subconscious healing going on right now, like at a deeper level. Some of you might not even be aware it's happening, so it's going to surprise you when things change and are more healed. And sometimes, not always, sometimes the difficult circumstances in our life are because something like subconscious or unconscious is healing or being worked out of your system, whether it's past traumas or something you're just not even aware of. But you're almost like through that is something I'm getting. So there are going to be certain things that just pop up and you're like, where did that come from? As far as like, because I feel like that's going to be like a good thing though, or it's like a change that happens in your life. Like you move very suddenly, you're like, like it all just like falls into place and it just like happens. Or like a relationship leaves and another one comes in really quickly. You're like, it's just because you've worked like this certain frequency out of your system subconsciously that's been either holding you back or holding you down is something I'm getting. But I'm also getting this is going to continue, the subconscious healing. Like it's not just going to be like over right away, and it might even kind of just like do some like the rounds through your life, like it hits one area, then it hits another. But again, like we talked about, like you're almost through this phase where you have more ease. So if things change really suddenly in your life, this is why, is what I'm getting. The other thing I'm drawn to on this card are all the different, like they look like, I want to say this correctly. But in the background on this card, like if you see it from a distance, it probably looks more like stars and constellations. If you zoom in, some of them look like little, I want to say this correctly. There are people who channel like light language symbols, and you know how they all kind of look, maybe I just saw the same post from the same person at different times, but they all kind of look the same sometimes. Like there's like the little swoopy lines and like the zigzaggy things and the little dots and things like that. I don't know, like sometimes they all just kind of start to look a little bit similar. I'm not trying to denigrate it or say it's bad or anything like that. I do feel like some, I feel more energetic. What's the best thing for me to say here? I don't want to talk bad about anyone or anything, but some of them seem to have more zip to them than others. I'm going to be honest, just with the energies I pick up from them. But and maybe it just depends on how legit they are. And they're just saying that's exactly what you needed to hear. So glad I said it, but sorry for this taking a while. What is the message, if any, with this here? So one thing they're showing me, because it does look kind of like stars and like constellations and things like that, some of them, like, they're just showing like these different lines between the stars, and they're just kind of talking about how there are multiple destiny paths or ways things can play out for you to get to the same result that you're meant to have on Earth or achieve here. What I'm hearing is like, I would ask for the highest and best one, and the highest and best one that has as much ease as would be for the highest good, perhaps, is what I'm hearing. They were saying just ask for the easiest one as well. So I'm guessing there's no issues with that. And they're also just saying, like, sometimes, I'm so sorry we're on this kick, but we're on this kick. Sometimes difficulty just doesn't bring what you think it does, is something they're saying. Some people will say like, oh, if something's not difficult, it's not worth doing. They're just kind of inviting us to sit with, is that necessarily true? Or are there things that are easy for you that are difficult for other people that are very worth doing and would help a lot of people and would have a great impact on the earth for the highest good that would fill you up and you'd be passionate about it or something like that? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but maybe just something to sit with and invite in or see what feels right to you. Or I don't feel like I said that last bit like perfectly, but there are multiple destiny paths or different like pathways you can take to this outcome. And it's kind of like you get to choose. And I feel like the universe is going to like give you multiple options for that as far as which like route you want to choose. But their recommendation, again, invite in the highest and best one that's has the best ease for you, should it be in the highest good, and let it rip. And they're kind of just saying, like, otherwise you might be confused because you think something's supposed to go a certain way and then it doesn't. And they're kind of just saying, like, relax. Everything's going the way it's supposed to. There's just multiple ways this could play out. So hopefully that makes sense so far. They're also like, as I looked in this card, one of these little like symbols or whatever it is back here looked like a jellyfish here. And the word they're giving me with jellyfish is just like bee. So let's see what's going on here with the jellyfish here. But there's also like this fact that certain jellyfish sting. So they're showing me that. So regarding these pathways and regarding like having multiple options, they're showing someone like swimming with jellyfish. And some of these jellyfish sting and are going to suck or will just outright kill you, like the Man of War. Some of them are just like fun and they're just like little bubbles and you hit them and they're like, hey, you're just like playing with the jellyfish. If you are confused right now, like about a pathway or something like that, really just like sit with it and like maybe even over just the next couple days. And something is going to point out like which of these pathways represented by the jellyfish in this instance are like poisonous, or would cause harm, or would be more difficult, or would be more fun and playful and easy. I feel like if you have multiple pathways right now, like not all of them are best for you. So like I'd really like sit with it and be with it. And if you do that, you're just going to be shown which ones are right and which ones aren't. And it'll be easy to make that choice as something I'm getting, or easier at least. They're not. So the next thing they're leading me to are these like shamanic drums and these drums here. So what's going on with the drums here? For weird message. For some of you, like a drum circle is a good idea, or it like might unlock something from a past life. I remember one time I went to a drum circle. They didn't want me to say this. Sorry. It might not be for everyone, by the way, but that was just something coming up. I'd make sure it's like a good circle. I know there are certain people in certain crowds like that are not fun to be around, whether it's because of like the drugs or they're just like not there spiritually. They're just kind of like, again, just like doing drugs, or they're there for like the girls or whatever. Like if you've ever been to like, so sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but what's best for me to say here? But if you can find a good one, I would do that, especially with like legitimate like shamanic practitioners or something like that. Might be more healing for you. But that is probably not for all of you here. Our Lady of Blessings Bestowed coming out next, keeping me on track. And we also have Our Lady of the Whispering Heart coming out, interestingly enough. I feel like what this one's saying is you already know the direction to go. That's the message I get with this, as I'm getting with. And regarding the jellyfish message, your heart already knows. So you could potentially see how your heart feels about things. Or if you channel, you can ask your heart messages and for messages or questions and get messages back. Or as you're sitting with let me see what the advice is here. They're just saying like your heart knows the way, so trust how you're feeling energetically about these like different options. I feel like you already know. With Our Lady of Blessings Bestowed here, they were just talking about a lot of gold coming into your life. They're just saying you've overcome the challenges. The gold is coming in. And they're like, if there's like one more challenge, that's okay. That's something I'm getting with that card as well. I feel like I am like all over the place with this reading, but that might not be how you're perceiving it. So I'm just going to keep flowing until they say, let's move on. So what else needs to come through for you guys right now? So one more card. They want to go back to the Whispering Heart card. I don't know where it is. I put it back in the deck here. Here it is. And what do we want to get to with the Whispering Heart here? They are kind of giving a quick message of how heart healing is on the rise for this crowd. This might even be for everyone here, not just the earth signs, by the way. Like a lot of people are being called to kind of like look at their hearts in addition to the other message that came through with this card, and ask like, what is serving me? What is serving my heart? What's hurting my heart? What is not serving me? And really kind of start to call the things that feel like a taint to your heart, or feel like they are tainting your heart or something like that. Or if it's just, it feels rotten, or it feels like moldy, or like needs to go. I do feel like there are certain things in your life that need to go, is something I'm getting as well. that like have this effect on your hearts or bring your heart down instead of up. So pay attention to how your heart feels, and how it's healing and what's helping that and what's harming that is something I'm getting right now as well. You'll be doing much better if you're doing all things that feel good to your heart and to you energetically, obviously, but the message is coming through, than like powering through something that feels like a rotten fungal mold or something like that, or a rotten mold. And there was any other cards that we should pull here. I'm going to shuffle and then we'll, maybe I'll get the rest of the deck too. Nope, they just want this half. Okay. This card right at the top, they said. So Our Lady of Charity, give is the word I hear with this, of course. I would be giving more. So what's this message here? Or maybe you're going to be giving more. Give me 1 second. Can I get the message, please? It's a time to give just a little bit more consciously. And when you do that, I feel like you'll be receiving a lot more. And they didn't like how I said that. I'm so sorry, guys. Can you please give me the best way to say this message? If you give just a little bit more, the results are going to be astounding. You don't need to break the bank. You don't need to spend money you don't have necessarily, unless you want to pull like a... Tony Robbins had this story. I don't listen to like a ton of Tony Robbins or anything, but I don't know. This is an interesting story. And it was a podcast back in the day. I would listen to the School of Greatness podcast by Lewis Howes like a lot. Cause I was like I had a job as like a delivery driver for like this, this one job that was more like industrial. And in the podcast he interviewed Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins talked about, and I'm not recommending you do this by the way, but it's just an example. He talks about how he had like $20 to his name. Like he was broke. He wasn't sure I was going to pay rent or whatever. And he went out to this buffet and he saw this like mom with her son, who was probably like 10. I don't remember. And he was talking about how this woman like didn't have enough money for like both her and her son to eat. So she was just like paying for her son to eat or something like that. And like Tony saw this and he's just like, oh, and for whatever reason, he felt compelled or he ended up doing this for whatever reason. He just went up to the kid and he's like, hey, like, why don't you like take this money and like buy your mom something like really good for lunch or something like that. And he just, for whatever reason, to shorten the story, that's what he did. And he gave his like last $20 and he's like, wait a second, that was all my money. What am I going to do? But then he's like, what happened was like later that day or the next day, like he got an email or like a check in the mail. And it was like, he was getting this like couple grand or however much that he was owed that someone like just hadn't paid him back and like wasn't paying him back on. And like his point was like, when you give, you receive, or like when you give, like you get more. And that's kind of what this card is saying in a different way. Because in some ways this card is also talking about giving on like an emotional level, like being there for friends or putting things out into the world that are going to help people. And it could be about money and giving in that way too. I'm not going to limit it, but how can you give just a little bit more, compassionately, legitimately, authentically, and see what shows up as you're doing this. And again, don't run yourself ragged, but I feel like there's more you can give and I would consider doing that. And there's at least one more message. They're showing me an octopus who has been loving showing up in readings in some ways recently. And let's see what the message is with octopus here. If you feel stretched in multiple directions right now, I feel like life is you're gonna start to feel pulled more in like one direction. Because they're showing like the octopus pulled in like 4 different directions and like 2 of its tentacles are like grabbed onto by like 4 different people. But the octopus is going to start letting go of the directions it knows are not for it and start to be pulled more in that singular direction towards its destiny. So anything else on that? You're going to be feeling and probably having a lot of forward progress as you do that. And just feeling more like whole is something I'm getting. It's sometimes when we like scatter our energies across like 4 different projects, it's like nothing's moving forward. But as you pick one or maybe 2 and like you go, or just one, it's like everything feels a lot better because it's like you've decided, you feel lighter. You're not torn between things that aren't for you. Like you can just move forward at peace. So I would, if you're a part of that process, I would do that. Otherwise, I feel like that's just going to be happening, which is good here. I'm going to close the reading. I feel like there's one more message from which card deck here? We're going to do one more from the Mother Mary Oracle card deck here. Our Lady of the Ripening, on the Ripening Vine here. A lot of manifestations coming in is what I'm hearing as I pull this card here, like in the next month even. So I'd keep an eye out for that. I also feel like there's these pears hanging from the tree. There's like fruit that's ripe for the picking is also what they're showing me with this card, which it makes sense. Our Lady on the Ripening Vine, But there's fruit that's ripe for the picking soon, and now is not the time to get dejected and like give up and just like sit there and be like, oh, my fruit is never coming, because it is something. And fruit is a metaphor for your manifestations or something good happening or money or something. It is coming. You just have to keep your chin up and like keep going and keep looking for the fruit, keep moving forward, working towards it, or just sitting pretty and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. But if you keep your chin up and keep moving forward, or at least don't get so dejected you don't do anything, this is what comes in, like manifestations, fruit that's ripe for the picking, things like that. So don't get dejected. Okay, I'm going to close the reading there. I do feel like, what's the last message here? There's a lot of like grace and peace is the last message they're showing me. There's also like a lot of grace for you. So sometimes this is a helpful message that they like to bring through. If you feel like you've messed up recently, I don't feel like you really have. I feel like there's a lot of grace regarding any like mess ups. And sometimes like for instance, like a broken bottle of juice in the grocery store, or it's just a broken bottle of juice. Like it's not a big deal. Like the workers come, they clean it up, no biggie. So sometimes your mistakes are like that, and we think like, oh, we messed up, it's the end of the world, but it's just like clean up in aisle 3. It's like it's a standard every day in a grocery store worker's life or in the life of the store, and it's like only a big deal if you make it a big deal, if that makes sense. So try not to see your mistakes as catastrophic. They might just be like a cleanup in aisle 3 or something like that. It's very easily rectifiable by the universe. You didn't like mess up the world or anything like that. So I hope that was helpful. And if whatever is for that is good for it to do for you. And I'm going to close the reading there. I do feel like there are a lot of good things for you as well, Earth signs. I feel like there's a lot of good things coming in. You might just have to be a little bit patient, but I don't think you have to be too patient. I think it's coming in, which is good. And you're also just worthy of good things is something they're adding in. A lot of you think you're not on some level, but you really are. There's no reason for you not to have good things. And it doesn't take away from the world if you have good things, if anyone needs to hear this as well. It actually adds to it. There's a couple different ways I've heard this said. And one of them I heard recently was, and again, I'm referencing Access Consciousness and Dane here, but he was like, you know what, like you having good things for you, or like your desires manifest. What's the best way to say this? You having good things is the world having good things, because you make up the world. Like you're a part of the world, you make up the world. If you think of like as above, so below, it's like you having good things is like also other people having good things. And it's not about like hoarding wealth or stepping on people's faces to have success or anything like that. It's more along the lines of, if you're manifesting what's truly for you and you're going towards your desires in a healthy way, you having good things is not taking away from other people. It's like, it's worth you having good things. And if you're in a good place and you have like your abundance and you have your wealth, one, you can give more. You're in a better place where you're not like scrambling to make things happen. You're kind of more in your zone. You can probably feel a bit more at ease, and you're probably more apt to help other people get theirs, I suppose you could say, because you're feeling like more secure with yours. Not that you need that to be the place for you to do that, because they're kind of saying like, nah, as I'm saying that, so I'm sorry. I suppose that last bit was not exactly what they were trying to say, but you get the gist. Having good things is good. Is all I'm trying to say. I'm going to take a quick water break for like a minute and we'll start the air signs, but definitely need to hear this. Perfect. Glad it helped. Okay, air signs. Put it up. It's really interesting Okay, give me 1 second here. So air signs, of course, we're just going to jump in. It's, if you're watching it on YouTube, it's for you when you see it. If you're watching it now, it's for you now. But the first thing they're showing me is this kraken, and he has his gigantic tentacles wrapped around this ship. And the sailor is sitting on this ship, and he's just like, why didn't I do the things I could enjoy while I could do them? As he's like facing down this kraken, about to kind of destroy his ship, I guess. So in some ways, it's just a reminder to do the things that you would like to do now that you can do, even if it's like simple and small, and really like relish that. Why did I say fall there? Maybe that's synchronistic. I don't know. But let's see, what else would be highest best for me to say about this? It's a simple reminder, honestly, to, cherish life and do the things that you enjoy now while you can do them. And I'm not saying that you're headed towards destruction or that there's a kraken about to destroy your ship, literally, or anything like that. But in some ways, I don't like the phrase, you never know. To me, I like to create with my words, like, you can always know, we can always know, or you do always know at some level. You always have knowing, you can always know. But the message to get across, the message they want to get across that they're saying is like, you never know, like what's going to happen or what events will unfold or what surprises life has in store for you, whether it be something you would judge or perceive as good or bad, not to use those words. But so what can you enjoy right now that you're not enjoying? What can you do right now that you would like to do that you're putting off? Like, now is the time to take action on those things, or to consider it at least and make a list and do the things you would wish to do. I don't feel like I'm saying that properly. What's the best way to say this? There are things you are desiring, you're not doing. Do them is the message. Simple as that. So there is a bit more and perhaps a different message as well with this kraken and the ship as well. One message is that you are much bigger than you realize, and I definitely don't mean physically. It's more energetic. It's what you're capable of. And now is the time to realize your power, again, with manifestation, with what you can create, with whether it's energy work and energy healing, your capability to shift things like in the world, either through yourself or through the things around you, or through the things you're shifting inside of yourself. And realizing you're affecting more than just you as you live your life, even if it's just small, simple things like painting alone in your room. To borrow from Lee Harris is a channeler, and he talked about that recently in something he did. And like one thing he said, which I thought was really interesting, was like, if you're alone like painting, or maybe he was channeling this, it was his guides, but if you're alone like painting in like your house for like 3 years, like what you're really bringing to the world is like harmony. Like you're bringing an energy of harmony to the world. So really, like the part of the message with all that I'm borrowing from though as well is like, in some ways I think you can know again, but you never know what you're bringing to the world, like through the small things you're doing, even just on your own or by yourself. And as you really hone that in and like look for it or ask to see it, you start to see it, how some of the things you're doing are impacting the world. And if you don't feel like you're there or can do that, you can get there or you can do it, is something I'm getting as well. Like you're much more potent, or can be a lot more potent than you realize if you're willing to do that work. But you're also just much bigger than you realize. Like being connected to everything is just a reminder they're bringing in for you and your soul here. And they're saying that because there are things you can create that you're not creating, or things you can move towards that you're not because you think you're small or insignificant or whatever. At least some of you, but you're not, which is awesome. Your soul is big in a good way, in the right ways. So anything else with kraken or anything else here? So the other thing that kraken, spirit animal, can represent, and I think this is like, I read this in a spirit animal book, but it's the way they want me to bring it through as well, is kraken can represent something hiding in plain sight. Like it's so big, it's floating on the surface of the ocean. It would look like an island, for instance, is the example I've heard. And the example they're kind of wanting me to bring through. There is a lot of opportunity for you that is going to be unveiled for you. And it's kind of like been there the whole time, is something I'm getting, kind of tying into like the first messages as well, or the first message. So jump on it once you see it, is something I'd say. Don't worry that a lot of time has passed where you could have done this thing or anything like that. The time is now. And, you see things at the right time. So don't beat up on yourself or think you're wrong for it, or get mad at the universe or anything, which you won't. I'm saying you won't get mad at the universe, but It's just the right time for it. So seize the opportunities that unveil themselves as something, I'd say, whether it's a relationship or it's a job or business or whatever it is, or it's healing. So let's see what else is here for the air signs today. There are a lot of big events coming in for you, just like important events, big changes coming up. This spring is what I'm getting for you. If you're watching this in the future on YouTube, because it's timeless, give yourself like 6 months or 7 months on this time frame is what I'm getting. Maybe sooner, like 4, but you hear me. And I feel like this is a time of big events, not necessarily like small things. So I just feel like there's a lot of important things happening. I don't know if that's important to hear, but that's just what I'm hearing. Like it could be things like a job interview or like a promotion or like meeting someone important for your path or things like that. Again, it could be things like moving house is something I'm hearing as well. So I feel like there's just a lot of that all at once. So I would hang in there is something I'm getting as well. I feel like it's worth it. So don't worry too much about it as well. I don't know why I'm holding these like I'm holding cards. It's just the signs for the live. So what else would be highest must to get to for the air signs today? There is more with Kraken. He's kind of like our spirit animal showing up today for you guys. He's going really deep into the ocean and he's going really deep into your subconscious. So let's see what he's going to here. And he's going to a shipwreck and he's like, yeah, I don't care about the shipwreck. And he's brushing it aside because like underneath the shipwreck is like a lot of treasure. And so one thing I would be doing is potentially doing a lot of deep dives in yourself regarding past lessons right now. And like just sitting with like, if something comes up as a memory or you're remembering anything like even like right now, it'd be like, what did I learn from that? Sorry, there was like a fuzzy, but it looked like incense smoke or something out of the corner of my eye. It was weird. But what did you learn from that thing or that situation that like sunk in your life or that relationship? Especially like the things that you haven't been able to look up until now for some of you, or it's been really like painful to recall. If you like get one of those memories and you have that like sting associated with it, like, ooh, it's like, what did you learn from that? And I feel like that's going to start to unpack the lesson so that thing like never happens again. Not that it's going to happen again, by the way. But I feel like that's part of your way forward right now is like unpacking those things. And some of you have been, if not all of you, have been avoiding that is something I'm getting. So sometime after this reading, consider doing some deep dives, or if anything comes up as you're going about your day, like, okay, what did I learn from that? I know that's like standard advice, but you might be surprised what you get as you sit with that. And if you're more intuitive and you channel, that could be like an intuitive exercise. That's a great time to like get channeled messages because sometimes they surprise you is what I'd say. Like when you do intuitive exercises, because sometimes you're like, yeah, I learned to not trust XYZ thing, but they're like, oh no, actually what you learned from this is how to find like peace in a difficult situation. If you're, I don't know, I'm really pulling, that one's not like a channeled example, but you just be surprised when you intuitively do those things. Like, what did I learn from that? Or what am I grateful for today? Like sometimes it's not surprising. And sometimes like they'll show you things you forgot about. You're like, oh yeah, I did love that like moment. And then sometimes it'll be just like completely like, whoa, really? But like when you think about it or sit with it, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So next message for you guys here. They're showing me grass here. And not to go into one of those grass is greener messages, but we're going into one of those like grass is greener messages because they're showing it off like there's green. They're showing me like green grass. Then there's like an angel mowing like a lawn. So what's here? But I feel like your grass is like blue is the way this is showing up here. And you're like, oh, what's wrong with me? I did something wrong. My life is like the pits or something like that. But it's actually like really unique and cool. And like not everyone has this thing. So it's a reminder that just because something's different doesn't mean it's bad. And you might have something that someone else envies. And this is not to get into like, jealousy and evil eye. That's not what I'm saying. What I am actually saying is like, we look at ourselves and because we are different or something about us or our life is different, we think we are wrong or we did something wrong, but maybe you're the one doing it right, or you're doing it right for you, or the one doing it perfectly. Or maybe everyone else is wishing they had bluegrass, not to make a pun with the weird music thing, or the music genre, but anything else on this here? I feel like you have really unique circumstances that are coming as well that you need to like not judge yourself for, whether they are like good or bad, but to like receive them and be like, okay, how does this fit into my life? Like, what is this leading me towards? Because I feel like it's ultimately like a good thing or something you're meant to have. And I think like sometimes we like dream about being different or like, yeah, I want to be different. I want to stand out. And then like when we actually are, we're like, oh no, I'm vulnerable and exposed and in danger, but you're not in danger. It's just like how that thought process can go. So if you're getting any uniqueness you asked for, like I would like really relish it is something I'd say as well here. Or you also have a unique purpose and that like the bluegrass and that unique path like really serves that and plays into that or is good for you. I'm not saying that perfectly, but it's just part of you and I would own it. So what else should we get to here today? I'm going to pull a card here. We're doing the Mother Mary Oracle card. So Our Lady of Creative Choice is the one they want. I know it was just at the bottom of the deck, but they're like, it's the one at the bottom of the deck. So that's why I chose that one. And again, this person is kind of unique. There's like all these colors. Like she has this really interesting like yellow necklace looking thing and all these like colors up here in her hair and things like that here. And I feel like this is you with the uniqueness. And I feel like you need to own it and like trust that's how you're meant to be and trust your path right now, whether it's good or bad or ugly or beautiful or whatever. Again, leading you to exactly where you're meant to be. These like little things on the side look like kiwis to me, and they gave me the word kiwi. As far as what that means here, and they're kind of talking about how like, you know, kiwi is like a really unique fruit, but it's also like really good. And they're like, you know what, that's you. You're unique, but you're really good. And so too, like they're saying something along like, for most of you, so too will your life be, or at least like certain aspects of your life. And again, like they're like, you need to, I don't know if you need to, but you need to relish that is kind of what they're talking about. It's like exactly how you're supposed to be and where you're meant to be. Anything else with this card? I don't want to beat that message to death right now. Spend like 20 minutes on it. So unless we need to, but what else do we need to get to here? They're showing me a sunflower next. It may or may not have anything to do with this card here. They're linking it to the Sun Tarot card as well here. And I think it also links into the Queen of Wands, if I'm not mistaken, also has sunflowers on that. So what's going on with the sunflowers here? I feel like that is going to be a sign you'll see that everything is improving. Like you'll see sunflowers at least 3 times is something I'd say. It could just be one, and you know, and like it clicks, you're like, okay, thanks universe. Like it just comes at the right time. But if you're seeing like sunflowers 3 times in a day, or you're seeing a lot of sunflowers, like that's a sign things are improving for you for good is something I'm getting. And if you've been in any type of dark area in your life, you're moving out of a dark area is something I'm getting. But I feel like the sun is coming for you. And I'm also hearing the word like finally. They're also showing the universe like smiling upon you with this message as well, which for some reason I'm getting is something you need, or like that confirmation is something you need. Obviously, the universe loves you, and if you need to hear it, the universe loves you. But there's like a lot of sunlight coming this year, and you don't see it coming. I think you're kind of expecting things to be kind of mid, if that makes sense, or kind of average, or like middle of the road, or just kind of ho-hum. But they're actually not going to be. I feel like it's going to be good. And there's like a lot of that like sun coming, which is good as well. The next thing we're moving to, they're showing me an earthquake here, and it's about instability. They're just saying like anything that crumbles in instability was never meant to be in your life. So for instance, just an example, not saying this is going to happen. If you have a relationship and it's like the second something adverse happens, like the person like nopes out, it's like, okay, it wasn't meant to be. Or if you have a job and the second something becomes unstable, they're like, nope. And like the company collapses or like cuts people, or like you get fired. It's like, okay, wasn't meant to be. It's not the path. And you do have a unique journey to go on right now this year. That's part of what the bluegrass is talking about as well. And it's part of the reason things are like would collapse like that is because they're not unique enough. And I need to be careful with that message, because I'm not trying to I'm not saying that like if something's not unique enough, like it's going to collapse in your life. You're like, oh, my husband isn't weird enough, we're gonna break up or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. I feel like it's more in general. What's the best way to say this? there might be certain things that are not your path that you're drawn to because they seem stable, but they're actually not. And that might be a better explanation for like not unique enough, if that makes sense. So I'd just be wary of that right now. Air signs is something I'd say. And make sure you're on a path you're actually drawn to, or that feels right to you, whether it's temporarily dull or unique or whatever it is. And not just one that you're on because you think it's stable. And they're kind of even asking the question, like, what is stability anymore? One, it can be different for each person. The hippie living in the forest could feel totally stable because if they have enough food and stuff. Likewise, the millionaire CEO might feel unstable because of the economy and might be afraid of losing it all. So you might even consider asking what's stable for you and moving in that direction. Or again, intuitive exercise. What's stable for me? See what like shows up as a message. And if you already work like that and channel messages, like you'll be surprised maybe what comes up, because it could be van life. But it could be a 9 to 5, like, it could be, or it could be a very specific thing that you're led to, but you'll see. I'm going to close the reading soon because I feel like I'm getting into a bunch of different stuff and areas, but I really, really hope this has been helpful and brought the messages you needed to hear regardless. The last thing maybe the last thing they're showing me is a blue rose here as well. And they're just giving me this message, like, just because it's unique doesn't mean it's any less beautiful. The person you gift a blue rose to might prefer that over a regular one. And what they're saying with that is being the unique you that you be might be exactly what someone else is looking for. The blue garden or yard might be exactly the yard that someone would feel most at peace with, even if you were, for example, like nervous about what like your friend would think if they came over, your parents, because you spray painted your yard blue or something. I don't know. And they're like, no, it's really cool. I love it. And sometimes the things you're most afraid of, like unveiling to others, are the things they admire the most about you. Or I minced the words. Sometimes the things you are most afraid of admitting to others are the things like they would most admire about you, or would most admire you for, was what they said. So don't be afraid of any of you and unveiling you to the world or to others. And, the people who can't vibe with it, again, not meant to be there. Anything else there? I feel like love is coming in for you, is the other message on a more standard reading note. A lot of you are going to have an increase of love in the next few months, whether it's in a relationship you're already in, or it's new friendship, or if you're single, could be new love. I like to be careful with those messages, unless it's like specifically for like, here's a singles reading or something like that. But for some reason, and I don't want to create more of this for myself, but it seems like the love messages can sometimes be the trickier ones depending on the reader, but it is what I heard. So I'm just going to roll with what I heard, and hopefully that's helpful for you guys. I'm going to take a water break. I feel like I didn't hit everything that the air signs needed to hear. So anything else before we part ways here? The star coming out here, healing. I actually feel like everything's going on a good road with this card coming out here. I'm also getting like a breath of fresh air, like someone breathing. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, it feels like a breath of fresh air was something I was getting with this card, but it also feels like a new hope is something I'm getting, like the Star Wars movie. I feel like some of you are getting a breath of fresh air, or like a release of stagnancy, and just I feel like things are on a good track, or going to be on a good track, is something I'm getting for you. And if you don't feel like it is right now, it will be, is something I'm getting as well. The last message, they're showing me a train here, because we said track. What's up with this? What's up with the train here? They're just saying, as a reminder, don't judge your path until you're at your destination. It's not like saying don't judge your life until you die or anything like that. It's more like sometimes we're on a road, we're in the dark tunnel, we're like, this sucks. Why are we in the dark tunnel on this train ride? I thought it was going to be pretty and fun, and I was just going to make $1 million and things would be great. But it's like, hey, relax. Like, you haven't made it out of the tunnel yet. You don't know what's on the other side of that. and you haven't got where you're going yet with this phase. So just relax. This is kind of something they're saying, like, don't judge your train ride, and don't judge where you're at until you're at your destination. Don't judge your journey until you're at your destination. Just something I'm getting, weirdly enough. So I hope that helped, and whatever's for the highest good for it to do for you. And we are, thank you, Brandon, very accurate for me. I'm guessing that's 2 air placements. Thank you so much. Ruda, thanks for letting me know. I'm so glad to hear it. You're welcome, S Heaven. I'm so glad, and may that continue, and may only what's for the highest good occur. Hey, Destiny, good to see ya. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm gonna drink water, then I'm gonna go to the water signs. So first of all, I also want to give a shout out and a thank you to the moderators. I saw Rock and Robin here, and I see Destiny here, and thank you guys for being here. And any of you guys in the chat who have just kind of let other people know what's going on or what sign I'm on. I know these are difficult to read on camera. It's in some ways, this is actually like more for me for like editing the videos and time stamping it for YouTube. I do want to get a better one where you guys can see what's going on too, like a whiteboard or something. So we'll get there. But shout out to all of you guys, and a thank you to you guys for just helping out and helping that run smoothly so I can focus on the readings and not get wrapped up in chat when I'm trying to channel messages. So thank you guys. And shout out to you, and send them some love or some thank you, whatever you feel called to do. So we're going to do the water signs next, and they're saying, to jump right in. So let me find the sign and put it up. For some reason, the first thing they're showing me is a dodo bird, interestingly enough. And I know dodo birds are extinct, and I feel like that's part of the message. So let's see what the message is here. There are just certain old ways that are just dying off for good, and they could be old ways like within you. It could be like old phases of your life for some of you. It could even be certain like old relationships. Maybe you just haven't talked to people in a while. I feel like this is actually a good thing though, because it's like, don't take this literally. Take this as a metaphor for the message they're trying to bring through. Like the dodo bird going extinct left room in existence for other creatures and creations and the evolution of other creatures to kind of take the place. So in some ways it's kind of by design. We don't have, I think like the human, I feel like climate change as it is now, and endangered species because of human activity as it is now, is a different story. But to the dodo birds and all that stuff, the message is like, we don't need to go into that conversation right now. The message is like, that's by design. And you know what? Maybe some of the things we're going through right now are by design on some level to spur the awakening of humanity, or to get us to do things differently on the earth. But I digress. Like there might still be a design, but that's not. Okay, coming back to the original message. Extinction is not a bad thing in certain ways, just because of like what is opening up in your life. So don't look at like, again, I feel like almost everyone's had this message today, but don't look at like old things leaving as like bad, but as like opening space and as like the design or the natural design for your life. And if you think of like cells in your body and how the healthy cells in your body, they have a certain lifespan, they die, and then new cells regenerate to take their place, is like the way it's supposed to be. And it's like, funny enough, with like cancer is like when cells refuse to die, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'm not saying species that live on past their expiration date are cancers to the earth or anything like that. But again, what I am saying is like things going extinct in your life is good. Okay, so what else do we need to say about regarding that or anything else before we move forward here? Fully for that is good. I just think, like, honestly, I feel like some of you are just, if not all of you, are worried about certain things leaving your life, but you don't need to be. It's just kind of like your cells turning over, you know, for example, and renewing. Or it's just kind of like the natural like course of things, which is good. The next thing they're showing me, which they love this analogy for the water sign sometimes, is a pirate ship. Sorry, they don't like when I reference other readings like that sometimes or say those things, but so sorry guys. But with the pirate ship here, I feel like you're afraid of certain things being stolen from you that like won't be, whether it's like a relationship or it's an idea. Um, like that you don't want someone stealing your man or something like that. It's like you don't need to worry. It's kind of something I'm getting there. I feel like you just need to move forward with like what's yours. Like if you have an idea, like put it into action. Like if you have a relationship, like enjoy it and just keep moving forward with it and see where it goes. And like don't worry about losing it. Let's see what else is the message here, because I was hearing like a weird phrase that I don't totally agree with, but it was like what the pirate steals is like what was meant to be the pirates or something like that. But I don't feel like that's really the best way to bring that message through. I don't think that's right necessarily either. But they're kind of saying this message like if something's meant to be stolen, it will be. If it's not, it won't be, is maybe the better way to phrase that for you guys and what they're trying to get across to you here. But I don't even feel like you need to worry. I feel like you just need to move forward. And the more you're doing that instead of worrying, like the better things will be, because you're at that point, you're charting your course, you're taking action. Sorry about the mic bump. And you just like either won't be as worried about it, or like sometimes when we have like momentum with things, we're just like, yeah, like let's keep going. We got momentum. We're focused. Things are happening. Things like that. So it's better than just sitting there worrying if something's gonna get stolen or not, and then sitting on ideas and then nothing happens, and then it's 2 years later and you're like, why aren't I rich and famous yet? It's because you didn't do anything. But let's move to the next message here. There's more with the dodo bird here as well. And they're giving me this weird message, like, what if the dodo bird was reborn as a different species? And they're kind of just talking about, like some of the things, of course, that do leave or go extinct for you, like will be reborn in like a different way, or will like be reborn as like a new person or like a new event or a new job, whatever it is. So try not to get wrapped up in what's leaving and try to move forward, or try not to get wrapped up in what's already like been lost or extinct. That is part of the message, is something they're talking about. Like, what if you were, this is going to be a bit extreme, but what if you were someone who is so like a paleontologist paleontologist, archaeologist, but someone who's like so upset about the dodo birds going extinct that you like just forgot about all the species that were currently on Earth, and like forgot about where the Earth is heading and what new species like might show up or be discovered, or that current species might evolve into, for example. And I know not everyone believes in evolution, but I personally get it's a thing. But let's keep going. Anyways, you get the example. But it's just kind of like, what if he like didn't like live his life because he was so upset about the dodo birds, he like didn't see what's right in front of him or something like that. It's like, don't be like that, I suppose you could say. So the next thing, they are showing me grapes again, and we are on the message of rewards again. I know it was in the collective, but it's coming through for the water sign specifically as well. There is just like a lot of that coming in, especially like where you've put the work in or put effort in. It's just like time for certain manifestations to come in. It's like both a time of like receiving manifestations and like putting more out into the world. It's kind of like a flow. And it's, if you think of like the economy or like money, it's kind of like that. It's like money flows in, money flows out, like things come in, your intention, like manifestations come in, intentions go out to the universe, manifestations come in. It's almost like I don't want to say it literally as a currency, but it's almost kind of like a currency or a flow is something I'm getting. And I feel like one of the worst things you could do for whatever reason, that's the sentence I'm getting regarding that, is like to just like, my manifestation hasn't come in yet, and just like stop. They're like, why don't you keep the flow going? Like, why don't you keep asking, or ask differently, or ask bigger? Why don't you keep taking action? Like, why don't you find a way to keep this flow going? And I know like sometimes it's a little bit up to like things coming in as well for like the flow to keep going, if that makes sense. But maybe it is in different ways, or it is kind of important to note, like maybe like what you're asking for is showing up, but in a way that's different than what you expect. Like maybe you're like, for example, of course, like, I want like a better paying job. And then all of a sudden like you lose your job. You're like, no. It's like, okay, what if this is, I'm quoting someone, but what if this is like what you actually desire, like showing up in a different way? It's just like not the way you expected. Or, like maybe you ask for like a relationship and all this like heart healing stuff comes up, and then like all like your ex like reaches back out from the past or something because it's like about to manifest, and like there's just a few last things the universe needs to move out of the way, or like spark in you, or help you release. So for some reason I'm talking about that. you might still be receiving what you asked for. It just might not be showing up yet or in process. So I wouldn't give up on certain things. Is something I'm getting as well for you guys. The next thing they're showing me is a fire, but it's about like a good fire in you, and it's about your passions and like your joy here. I feel like you need to keep the spark of joy alive. And I know like that's not always like, depending on where you're at, sometimes it's really easy to do. And some of you are like naturals with joy and that's like your life. And others of you, I know sometimes people like just have trouble with it just because they're going through something. And I totally understand that. And I would be where you're at with that. At the same time, if there's something you can do that brings you joy or to keep the joy alive, I would like bring it in tenfold, or I'd put like extra effort or attention on those things. Like if, I don't know why we're on this golf kick, but if golfing brings you joy, go golf. I don't care if it's a stereotypical, middle-aged man thing. Like go do the stereotypical middle-aged man thing. Go enjoy it. If it's watching things like that, perfect. This like cool. Like watch things like this. If it's something else entirely, like perfect. Put more into that. I just feel like the more you're in that frequency, the better things will be right now. So try to do that is what I'd say. And one teaching I've heard it's from Lee Harris. He would talk about like something he'd call a joy muscle, where it's like the more you are like consciously cultivating joy, like for instance, like for me, I love coffee. So one thing that's joyful for me is like, just sitting with my coffee and just like being with it and be like, I love coffee. I love how I feel as I drink coffee. I love the taste. It's such a good time. So that's like, that could be my 10 minutes of like, I'm just going to sit here and like be joyful to the best of my ability, or at least carve time for it and hold space for it to show up or something. So that's a possibility for you. But I feel like it's important because of what you're manifesting in some ways. I don't ever want to pigeonhole someone and feel like, oh, they have to be in joy for the manifestations to come in, or else everything will fall apart. Because it's like, what are we really creating when we buy into that as our reality? Probably nothing good. But I, at the same time, feel like if you're in joy, better things are going to be showing up, and it will be like, there will be more ease, and maybe it will help your manifestation show up in a better way, or just an easier way. They're like that easier way. So I feel like it will still be helpful regardless, is something I'm getting as well. So they've been like really digging this like train thing today with these readings. So what's up with the train that's showing up here? And this train is like in the clouds. And it's like charting a new path here for a train. So what are we talking about here? Sometimes there's like somewhere we want to go that no one else has been there before. Like we want to create something new. We do and don't necessarily have a map for it, if that makes sense. And sometimes it's just a feeling, like we know something should be possible, but it's like it doesn't seem like it is, or no one else seems to be talking about it. I feel like if there is anything like that you've been wanting to do or go towards, I feel like that's a great direction for you to go in. Like whether it's a new, I feel like I use the example of business all the time, but whether it's just like a business no one's ever seen before, or it's like a healing modality no one's ever seen, but they didn't like that example, I'm sorry. Or just like a way of living or being that no one's ever seen before. I feel like it's possible, and you should try to create it and move towards it, even if no one else sees it or no one else understands it. It's like, well, perfect is kind of what they're saying. Like that means you have plenty of time to like figure it out, because no one's going to be vying for it instead of you is one thing I'm hearing. But I know like that might not check out for all examples, because I think multiple people could have like the same thing or a good thing, but I'm not trying to go into the scarcity mentality or whatever the self-help people would call it nowadays. But let me see here. They're just trying to say like it's possible to create that, and like now is the time to create that, because like the possibilities are opening wide for like new things on earth, new manifestations. And a lot of the old ways, I know I've said this a lot, and a lot of people have said this a lot, but the old ways are crumbling, not just in like the physical like ways of being, or like the physical like society ways of being, which are, but also in terms of like intuition. manifestation, creation on earth. And I don't mean this in a bad way, because I feel like some of the old tools and things are still going to work, because otherwise, like, we'd just be lost. We'd be like, what? But at the same time, there might be new and better ways of doing things that can be created either from the old or sprouting from the old. Or there might just be like certain like rules to manifestation someone handed to you that like don't belong there anymore. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, what's the best way to say this? Maybe you thought you had to do like all these crazy things to like manifest something, and like be in the specific vibration, and like drink out of metal straws every day, otherwise the earth would hate you and not give you your manifestations, or these, you know, ridiculous things like that. I know I'm going a little bit overboard, but you get it. And maybe it's quite possible to just like have what you want to manifest before you even know you want it or know you should ask for it. Or maybe it's possible to just like think, oh, I'd like this thing, and then the opportunity for it, then it shows up or something like that. And again, like sometimes we do have to put work in, like a lot of these other messages have been saying today. At the same time, what is becoming possible for us? Like, I'm never trying to hold you back or keep you away from that. And maybe for you, again, like it's a way of being you want to create. Like, I only want to work this amount of hours and make this much money and live life this way and have this amount of freedom to do XYZ thing. And maybe it's more and more possible to create that, for instance. So I feel like I've been on that note for a while. So what would be highest must for us to get to next here? They are showing me clouds next and a rainbow and the word hope. And I feel like there's a lot of darkness lifting for this crowd is another message I'm getting. There's a lot of light coming in. And I would be a little bit patient in this transition. Sometimes darkness doesn't just like, sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't just go overnight. Sometimes it's like a gentle prodding and pushing to like remove the darkness from like a person or a place or a thing. And it's like a gentle surgery, like a heart surgeon might not be able to do everything in a minute. It might take like a few hours, as an example. Or it might sometimes, you know, like those surgeries that take like 48 hours or whatever. So maybe like darkness is lifting from your life, and for some of you maybe it'll be fast. I'm not going to limit it, but maybe for some of you it's going to be like over days and weeks and months and like a year. It's not necessarily going to be like it's gone tomorrow, though that would be great too. And so one, I would not give up just because certain things aren't lifting right away, but just know that it is lifting and it will get there. There's just like a gentle surgery, metaphorically or etherically, like underway to remove excess darkness, or just like things that just don't belong is something I'm getting anymore. Because you don't deserve that is something I'm getting. Like you guys don't deserve like more darkness or dark times or anything like that. So the universe is definitely like granting mercy and like removing that is something I'm getting. And you know what? Maybe it will be quick, but maybe it's just like longer than you would want. Like maybe you want it gone tomorrow, but it's going to take a week. I don't know. So the next message here, they want me to pull a card. We're doing which card deck? This one. So I'm going to shuffle this one. Actually, they want this one. They want both. Okay. They're saying both of these. So Our Lady of the Ocean of Rebirth, popular card, but it's out again. Maybe it's just in the air. I feel like if you've been like rebirthed against your will, it's actually going to be really good, because they're showing like someone, they're showing the water like forcibly just like tsunamiing over someone. And they're like, I didn't want this. Just wanted to stay on the beach and like watch other people rebirth. I didn't want this. But I feel like it's going to be really good. And the universe is just doing it because it's time. I feel like your life will change because of it. I feel like it might be slowly and over time, but it's kind of like solving a puzzle or unlocking things. It's like, you know, or like a Rubik's Cube. Like sometimes it's solved really quickly, but some configurations need like a couple minutes to like reconfigure the Rubik's Cube and get it solved. I feel like it's going to be more like that for you is something I'm getting, but things are going to start to slowly unlock and reconfigure and be put into place. But it's at the right pace for you is what I'm getting. With Our Lady of the Rose Crown, it almost looks like the word grown. It almost looks like a G there. Oh, I didn't. I'll just leave it. Normally I flip the video so it's unmirrored, but it's okay. What's the message with the rose crown here? So in the background, it almost looks like an egg back here is the first thing they're talking about. And they gave me the word egg. So a lot is hatching for you guys. I feel like it's really time for that. Again, I'd be a little bit patient with things hatching. Like it might take some time, but there's going to be a lot coming in this year if you're patient and moving forward and putting in the work. So anything else with anything else with these cards here for you guys here? I just feel like if you're going through a rebirth of any sort, like things are going to be really good for you. There's one more card here. The color like orange is really like popping out to me. It's not on this card, but I'm gonna shuffle again. Okay, this card. This card has orange on it. Our Lady with the Moon at her feet. This one's about intuition is what I'm getting for you guys. Thanks, Brandon. These messages are all resonating. You're welcome, Stacy. Thanks for letting me know. So this one's about intuition, and the High Priestess tarot card also has a moon at her feet, kind of like Mother Mary. There's a lot of intuition rising for you guys, a lot of knowing coming online if it isn't already. I really feel like you need to trust your gut and your intuition and knowing at this time. There's like a lot you already know that you need to take action on, and it's really that simple is something I'm getting. I feel like you're also, I know that we had the card like Our Lady with the rose crowned. I feel like you also are being like crowned with your intuition and your knowing. Or it's like, maybe something's being removed from your crown chakra that was in the way of your knowing, if the message is literal for some of you, but they didn't like the way I said that. So what's the message here? I feel like things are just being uncovered for you so you know more. And so you're not as like in the dark metaphorically as well. So I feel like you're going to be very intuitive and are very intuitive likely as well. I just also like, again, I'm getting this visual of like trees growing, like there's things like growing in your life, things hatching in your life. And it's like almost there, but you just have to be patient and like keep working is something I'm getting on that one. So they want one tarot card here, and it's 8 of Cups here with strength behind it. So 8 of Cups is usually a card about walking away from something. Strength can mean any number of things, but strength is kind of what it's about. So let me get like the channel messages for you about these cards, though, not just the traditional meanings. If it takes strength to walk away from something right now, you're going to be like that you have to walk away from, like you're going to be getting something like 10 times greater is something I'm getting. I would also have strength regarding anything that's walking away from you. And like I feel like the universe is like holding your hand through it. And it's almost like plucking a thorn out of your side. Like it's really unpleasant while someone's like doing it. But like once it's gone and healed, it's like a lot of relief. And you don't have to live with like pain constantly anymore. It's both you walking away from something and things leaving, or it's one or the other for certain ones of you. But again, if you have strength through it and you're willing to go through it, I guess you'll just have things that are like 10 times better on the other side of it. The other thing that's jumping out at me, this is a weird message, but this like neon green color on this card, like they're also showing me like the radioactive symbol, and it like looks radioactive to me as I'm like looking at this card. Let's get that radioactive energy out of here. Thanks. Or what is this message here? I don't know if that was actually radioactive energy, but I was feeling a really weird energy with that. What's the message with you guys, for you guys with this card here? It's almost like as you guys become more sensitive energetically, it's like certain things that like used to be fine might become, not literally by the way, but as if they are like radioactive energetically. I really don't like how I'm feeling energetically as I'm saying this. So give me 1 second to like get the message and say it correctly. Because it really should be, as I'm saying this, making things lighter. What's the message here? Just like stay away from things you noticed are like not good for you, even if they used to be, or like maybe certain things used to be fine, but now they're not anymore. Like maybe you used to really love Marvel movies, for example, but then the violence becomes too much, and it almost just becomes like a weird like toxic energy or radioactive energy, and you need to kind of move on. And maybe there'll be a time where like things stabilize a bit more energetically, and you're like as aware and sensitive as ever, but it's like you can handle it again. But if you need to like shelter in place temporarily while all that's revamping, just do that. Just pay attention to that. You'll know what to do, by the way, and like who or what to walk away from regarding that. I feel like that is your cue to walk away. If something just like feels weird all the time, or you consistently feel worse better than after, that's like, I'd really sit with potentially walking away from that thing is something I'm saying. And last card, ooh, this one's coming out again. Our Lady of Ripening on the Vine here. I feel like you guys are getting abundance is what I'm getting, plain and simple, this year, or like a bit like an uptick to abundance. if there are any temporary lulls, don't worry about that. It's like it's actually like a time of abundance, even if it doesn't seem like it with like the economy or things like that. It doesn't mean you can't be abundant, one, in other ways, but two, like in your personal life. And I feel like that's what's coming as well. Show me this looks like a house down here as well. Some of you, it's going to be like a home that's abundance, or like is something I'm getting. For others of you, still, it's just abundance, which is good. It could even be money for a lot of you as well. I think I'm going to close the reading there. I don't know if there's much more. So what else is important to get to for the water signs today, if anything? Hopefully for that is good here. I'm getting this message of you guys being cleaned and cleared and like a lot being reworked. So again, I feel like I said this to you like 20 times today, but be patient with like the shifts and things. Like it's going to be very well worth it. And again, I'm getting a similar visual as I just got, but they're showing me like a cat, like at the vet or something, or like the cat needs medicine, like, and you have to like pin the cat down to like give the cat the medicine, or like, remove this thorn or like a tick or like something that needs to be removed from the cat for its own good. And it's almost like the universe is doing that for you. And it's like, you hate it, but it's like, once it's done, it's like, oh, I'm good. I feel a lot better. Things are way better. Things are 10 times better is kind of what they're showing me. So just be patient with anything that feels like that happening to you, or the universe pinning you down to help you out. If that makes sense. Okay. So they're kind of saying that no more for that. That's it. We may or may not do a full channel message, because I'll see if they want to do that right now or not, because I was planning on it, but so accurate. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. Like an energy cleanse. Exactly. Please tell us how that means a lot. Crystal Kelly Music, please tell us how we can tip you. Thank you for asking. If you go to the link in my bio on TikTok, and you go to my Linktree, I know I have like 10 bajillion links, and maybe I need to clean that up, but the bottom link, there's like an ability to tip me. The other thing I want to say about that is, I don't know if they fixed it or not, but there was this issue where people would tip and it like would say that it didn't go through, but it actually did. So just tip once. Don't keep tipping once if it says like it didn't go through, it probably did. And you're welcome to like send me an email just to double check if you end up tipping me and like you're not sure if it went through, I'll check. And but every single time that's happened, it's always gone through. So don't tip me like 10 times. I will refund you if you do, by the way, like the 9 extra times, but just for your just so you don't miss out on money that would have otherwise been in your account and all that. But that would be a way you could tip me. It's actually like I do have a Venmo and a PayPal, but that's actually its own thing. It's like through Linktree. It's just like a tip me option. And maybe I should have like a Venmo or PayPal tip thing on my website or something, but I don't yet. So maybe I'll work on that soon, just in case. Thanks, Prince Priestess. By the way, never an obligation to be here, but so glad to see you again here. It's always good to see you. And I hope you are really doing great out there. Okay, they actually want to do full channel now, so maybe they just wanted to take a break for me to talk about that here. Shinekind, I would definitely do that. Put Reiki into the ink of a tattoo you're getting soon. Heck yeah. Okay, yeah, I would do that. No, I totally fair, Prince Priestess, and better you are outliving your life, and if that's the way your life is flowing, than like forcing yourself to be here for sure. But I at the same time love having you here when you are here. Oh, of course. Thank you so much, Prince Priestess. Okay, so we're going to do just a full channel mode message, and those of you who have been with me live before, you know, do you do Reiki attunements? Yeah, I teach Reiki. I do indeed do Reiki attunements and teach Reiki. I need to put classes on my schedule on my website, but that's something I do. So we're going to put the sign up. So the whole spiel, and they want me to go through the whole spiel, is, pretty much what's going to happen is, with the full channel mode, as I like to call it, pretty much it's my spirit guides, the angels source channeling, directly through me, and they're having the conversation, or well, they're really just delivering the messages, because they don't. I mean, in some ways it's a conversation, but we're not really reading what's on the screen when I'm doing that because my eyes are closed. And there's a couple of different things to note. There's the energetic transmission from true highest and most infinite source that flows along with channeled messages that can do like healing. So it can be like a healing session. It can open your own intuition. It can revamp you for the highest good. It's always only for the highest good. And it's, it's how you need it, or you need it, or however it's for the highest good. And then, of course, there's the messages they bring through, like the words they say, which can be important and usually matter. A lot of it can be the energy of it at the same time. And so you might feel things shifting with you. It might feel like a healing session to you. You can treat it like a meditation, or you can, or not. They didn't like that I said that, so I'm sorry. You can treat it however you treat it. That's kind of the important information. So we're just going to, give me 1 second here. We're going to jump into the messages and see what comes through for you today. And and usually it's about like 10, 15 minutes, but it can be different times while we're doing this. So here we go. And I might cough for a second, then they'll probably laugh, and then they'll start talking. So, or they might just start talking. We'll see. So give me like just a minute and we'll see when they start talking here. Welcome to, we would say, this channeled guided meditation, for even though it is a channeled message, a delivery of a channeled transmission, there's going to be a bit of a meditation aspect to this delivery. So we would say, good job on Brandon for saying meditation, regardless of whether we told him to or not. But there will definitely be a meditation energy with this message that might conk you out or put you in that state. So just don't worry about the way it shows up for you. We will dive into the messages for you. And your path is shifting, all of you. Humanity's path is shifting is the main message we wish to start with. Because there's a big re-scrambling, a big scrambling of the energies in some of the higher etheric realms. And you do not need to take these messages literally. Take them metaphorically and take them as a way to understand what's going on rather than as a literal message sometimes, and you will be much better for it. Some of you take things literally. We do not mean them literally, but more as a metaphor. But there is a scrambling in the energies of the higher realms that is working its way down into the lower realms. And by lower, we do not mean worse than, but the physical realms is what we would say by that. And it is a change that has been asked for many on Earth. And the scrambling is more like baking a cake or putting a recipe together than it is things got messed up or things got destroyed up there, for instance. Because the universe is cooking something new for each of you and for the world. That is why there's such an emphasis on the new by us and others who do readings like this or deliver channeled messages. There are new energies on Earth, new templates, new blueprints. As we began with the collective reading, those were the messages we started with, even if it did not make sense to Brandon or to your cognitive mind. And for many of you, it did make sense, at least energetically. There are new blueprints being installed for all of you. And it is not necessarily us doing this. It is your soul doing this. It is your agreement with Source when you came here to bring these new energetic blueprints and templates to the Earth to begin healing others, to uplift humanity in the Earth and the plants and the beings here, so that this could be a more high vibrational reality that exists on Earth for all of you. And that's really what you are here to bring, whether it shows up as healing, as creating art, as architecture, as physical inventions that better the human experience. You are here to raise the vibration of all. And that is, in some ways, but not all, the sole reason your soul came here. Because yes, you also came here to grow and to learn. You came here to become a better person, to work on certain past life lessons, to go further with the earth lessons in some instances. But you also came here to create the new and brought those templates with you. And that's what is activating with you. Yes, this message is helping to spark that or for it to help you remember that, but it is also just telling you what is going on. So you do not freak out when things change so suddenly, when the rug gets pulled out from underneath some of you. But this will not be bad. And some of you have already gone through this. You will not necessarily go through it again in the near future. Because the rug pull does not mean everything gets destroyed. It could be a blissful awakening where you see the world completely differently. And if you've ever seen those shows or that trope where someone goes to rip a tablecloth off of a table while leaving all the items on it unbroken and unmoved, that could be a way that shows up for you. The rug pull does not have to be everything being destroyed. It could just be everything being different than you thought it was, and you have to reacclimate to that. But everything will be changing. And again, it could be a blissful awakening. It could simply be you shifting in the way you see things. It could be everything leaving your life and everything coming in brand new over the course of a year. And many of you have gone through that. You know what we are talking about. But this time it will be new. It will not be the same old story. It will not be events repeating themselves. It will not be the same old lesson. This is the time where you overcome, energetically and otherwise. This is the blueprint where you finally overcome. You finally change the thing for good, the thing that's been bothering you. You finally change the circumstances in your life and shift the energies for good. And the next few years is that time period for you, is that shift. And as these blueprints spark alive, these templates, which again, those words are placeholders for what is actually going on, is a way for the human to understand the etheric happenings. It is not the overall absolute truth. It is a way to talk about the truth. But as these blueprints spark alive, as these templates spark alive, you're going to be seeing things differently. You're going to be seeing yourself differently, and you will be different. But what is that creating on Earth? Higher vibrations, yes, like we talked about. For many of you, it's also the physical circumstances you've been yearning for. But you haven't had the energies or the way to access it yet. You just knew it should be possible. You knew it was possible. But the possibilities are opening for that. Finally. And the possibilities have been open. But there have been a lot of lessons lately. A lot of constricting energies. A lot of things pulling at you and others. A lot of things the world has been going through in this transformation of all. But what if, with the possibilities that are opening up because of that transformation, suddenly everything you desire is possible? Whereas before it was behind 7 thick walls of reality, judgments, your own mind, your own perceived limitations. None of you are limited. There's always unlimited, and limitation is a lie. So you can see yourself as unlimited at all times. That doesn't mean there won't be difficulties in certain instances, of course. But it will at least be empowering and more truthful to see yourself as unlimited and infinite. It will feel lighter to you. But the possibilities are less hidden, less constricted. They are opening wide in this time frame. This is why we say take action. Yes, after the template's ground in, but even now as they do so, it could be part of that template wiring into your system, whether you are resting or taking action. You are assimilating. It can show up any which way. And do not limit these messages and think you need to show up a specific way. The way you are showing up is perfect. The way you are doing it is right with anything. Even if it does not get you the results you want right away, you are learning. But it is right for you in that moment. So you can let go of getting it wrong regarding the templates, regarding anything in life. And know you are learning the right ways to do things at the right times for you. You're not getting it wrong, ever. You can let go of that. But that is why we talk about taking action with these possibilities opening up. Because the energies will move much more quickly in these times than ever before. Things can rocket ship forward instead of being a slow, dull drag. We're working through the energies of the 90s. Working through energies people were in the 50s. Things were not as possible. Physically or etherically in some ways, depending on who you were and what you bought. So what is becoming possible for you? And you may get an intuitive answer. You may get a visual or a message. You may just feel the possibilities energetically opening up as we speak. But they are. And not everything is written in stone. We do not say this to freak you out that the future isn't set at all times. There are many set futures. There are many choices. But we always wish to leave you the possibility to create a higher road, to create more possibility, to create a higher future, which is part of what the energy healing that's a part of this message is doing. Opening up the possibilities for the future and removing the negative ones as you would perceive it. The future does not have to be dull or dark, no matter what you've been through, no matter what another reader has told you, no matter what this one in the chair may have accidentally told you during a live or a reading. We would say the future is limitless. So what will you create? And this is not to say nothing is divinely guided. This is not to say Source isn't holding all of it, that there isn't co-creation with an infinite intelligence, because there is. And to forget that would also be disempowering in some ways. You wouldn't have that to bounce off of, to work with. You wouldn't have the backbone of that to create with. In some ways, that creates a solid foundation to create with. So you do not need to see this universe as godless, far from it. It's a disempowering stance to see the universe as godless. Do you see what we are saying? It's a rhetorical question, of course. So what paradise can you create for you with the possibilities in your future? What paradise would you like to create? And these questions are more to get the energies moving in that direction. You do not have to have an answer. But we are telling you it's possible. We are telling you it's possible. And what templates are you adding to your collection as a soul? Through this and in general, to go back to that. Are you here to heal, inspire, lead? Are you here to create? You are going to be getting messages about this soon, either directly for those of you who channel, or through synchronicities, through other readers. However it shows up, you're going to be getting this new direction, showing up very quickly. And it may be similar to what you are already doing. It may be vastly different. But things are meant to be different. If things were meant to be the same, we would not be here speaking to you, delivering this message, inciting change, inciting transformation, inciting healing. We would be gone allowing humans to do their thing, knowing they would be the same old humans, not doing anything different. But that is not the case for you, for this crowd. You are ready for change. You are ready for transformation. You are ready to help the world. You are ready to be yourself. You are ready to own the templates that are coming. You are ready for your mission, whether it is simple or grand, both, or entirely different. You are ready for the mission that is in store for you. And it may not be anything like you imagine. So many of you get ideas in your head when we say that word, mission. Some of you get knowings and know what it is. But it does not have to look a certain way. It may not appear how you think. It does not have to be big and grand, but it can be. Your mission may simply be to heal. Your mission may be to bring a modality to Earth, or something else entirely. Though we already said, it's about raising the frequency. And that can show up a number of different ways. So what can you do to raise your frequency going forward from this message? Yes, just doing this and showing up, this will do it on its own. These will begin that process and kickstart things and rewire things and get you moving in a different direction at times, or do whatever they need to do. But there's something you can do, each one of you, to raise your vibration. Whether it's simply asking and writing it down, doing the thing you know you need to do, we would say, have at it. Now is the time. And the transformation that arises from you raising your vibration now will be much bigger than perhaps you've seen in the past. Perhaps you would get high vibration and you would not see much change. Or maybe you did slowly over time, but it's going to be quicker. Your vibration is going to have an impact. You are each being supplied a map right now, energetically, or it will show up in your future following this message. Of course, towards your destiny, towards your mission, but how to best go about that energetically. That is what is being seeded right now as part of the message. That energy. And you will be. We have no doubts. That is all we wish to leave you with today. That energy, that transmission, those messages, you are on the right track. You cannot mess this up. You cannot mess up your mission. You cannot mess up what you are here to do. God, Source, Spirits, the universe has infinite resources to make things happen the way they need to. And you have an infinite ability to create. And you put those two things together and you have co-creation. So what can you now create that would be a boon to humanity and yourself? We leave you with that. We wish you well, and we wish you all the best for each of you, for the highest good. May the highest and best transpire, and we will see you in the future on another live, another reading, another post, or in whatever ways you see us again, if you choose to. Take care, and farewell. We are signing out for now. Hey, 50K likes. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. You guys are welcome. Okay. Yes. So I'm getting that I should, okay, I need to take a second. Hope that was good, though. We need a live to just hang. Yeah, they're telling me to schedule that. I'll schedule that. I will write a note, live to just hang. Maybe we'll make one of these Sunday lives just like a hangout. Well, I don't know, because I don't want to take away from like this for you guys if you're getting a lot out of it. Maybe we'll either do a Sunday we'll just pick a Sunday, or we'll do another day of the week or something. Today was the push I needed. Thank you so much. You are welcome. Go out there and create and do your thing, whatever you feel pushed to do. I trust you. Know what that is, and we'll do it. Bought you a book this morning. Awesome. Source Soul. I hope it does whatever's for the highest good for you. Oh, thank you, Rob Dog. For some reason, I'm feeling Wednesday. Wednesday sounds like a good day. Oh, thank you guys for the likes and the gifts. If anyone gifted me and I didn't see it, that validation was so needed. Thank you. You're so welcome, Quiche. You're so welcome. Are you an oat milk man? I sure am an oat milk man. What gave it away? Thank you, Pro Audio Tips. I appreciate it. Perfect. You're so welcome, Marina. You're welcome, Love Light Warrior. Is this the end of the live? It's close. I might play some guitar or some Reiki infused guitar. Oat Milk Gang. Oh yeah. You're welcome. If anyone wants to stick around for that. If not, as far as like the readings and the channeled messages, I mean, other things might come through, but well, what would be best for us to do now? They're telling me to go get my guitar, so I think we'll do that and just like chill for the next like 30 minutes or however long it takes, and then we'll probably close it out. But sing, please. I probably need to sing. Does it exhaust you? It depends on everything. The past, I mean, sometimes I do just kind of like find myself standing and like staring after these lives, like after like the readings and then like the channeling, and like if there's energy healing afterwards, like I will just kind of like not do anything the rest of the day, or I'll just like stand there and stare, or just like lay there. But we'll see. Nap and breakfast burrito. I love breakfast burritos. I need to find a breakfast burrito place here. I think we do need to like a hangout live. So I'm gonna go get my guitar. It'll take like, I'm also gonna like move my body a little bit. It's gonna take like 20 seconds maybe, and then we'll do that. Oh, that's awesome. 2 months year celebration of starting. This month is 2 year celebration of starting channeling drawings from your lives. Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. I can't believe it's been pretty much 2 years. You deserve a hangout live. Thanks, Heather Vibes. Yeah, we will do that. We should have yoga with Brandon. That'd be great. I have never taught. I'm not a yoga teacher, so maybe I should do that, and then we'll do that. Or we can just do unlicensed yoga with Brandon. It sounds illegal. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get the guitar. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be playing long. I've been on here for over 2 hours. So yeah, these lives can go on for long. They used to be like, I used to do Q and Channel Day, which was give me. It was like people would just like ask questions in the chat, and I would just channel messages for them, and like there used to be a Q&A box that people could do questions, and I would do like just like one, individual readings, and it used to go for like 4 hours. It was too much. I don't know why. I did enjoy it and it was good, but I think it was too much in hindsight. Do I need to? So I did not tune this beforehand, so we're almost in tune. Give me 1 second here. I'd use my phone tuner, but I'm using the phone for the live, so it doesn't. Maybe I could do both. I need like an acoustic guitar tuner. goes. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, so I know I'm just started messing around. Oh man, those guitar habits where you just like noodle all the time, I think sometimes they die hard. I used to play like a lot of like rock and metal, and it was in like bands and stuff, and there's like this joke where like the guitarist will just like be like playing guitar like no matter what's happening. Like someone could be like trying to like talk and you're just like I don't know. But anyways, I think that's good. So I'm just going to take a second to just set intentions. Hey, from Australia. Hey. And so I'm just going to take a second to just set intentions and just ask for Reiki to flow. And the intention is like Reiki kind of infuses itself with the music. So it's like energy healing, but maybe it's also sound healing. So give me 1 second to just do my thing, and then we will get started here. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to ask Reiki to infuse with this music, both directly and just flowing through me as I play. I'm going to ask it just does only what's for the highest good for each of you. Just as the highest and most healing that's for your highest good, it only goes where it's for the highest good for it to go. Should it be in the highest good? And may the highest and best that is for the highest good come about from all of this. I'm going to ask true highest and best infinite source. Okay, so thanks for bearing with me, and we will begin. And let me know if you can hear it all right, or if there's any issues, just let me know, and I will try to switch it up here. But let's see where they want me to start here. We're just going to improvise, and then they'll probably have me go into a song I know or something. Okay, I think we are done. So I'm just going to ask that the SMS healing does for ask it to takes place. Reiki and any other healing energies that were there just continue to work however long would be for the highest good. Should it be in the highest good until all that's completed is completed.
And may only what's for the highest good occur regarding all of that. And you might want to drink water sometime after all this live and channeling and Reiki and all that stuff. But hopefully that was good and just did whatever was for the highest good for it to do for you and felt good energetically. That was so good. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, thanks, Destiny. I appreciate it. You're welcome, Heather Vibes. So I'm probably I might hang for a second and then we'll probably close the live soon. Oh, we don't need that. Do you record your music? I would like to get into that again. I used to do that a lot. The past couple of years I haven't been as much, but I'd really like to definitely start doing that again. Especially like I will just see what they would have me do with that, but definitely a plan. Yeah, I mean, this will be up on YouTube if you want to listen to it again. The video should be on YouTube in the next couple of days if you guys want to watch any of it again. I would like that to get you into it too. Thanks, you Heather Vibes. Thank you, Rana Faith. I really appreciate it. Congrats, Faith. I so apologize if I'm not saying this correct, but it's either Fi Speranza or Faith Speranza. Congrats. That's awesome. What classes do you have coming up? Right now I have 0 scheduled, but I am potentially going to be scheduling a bunch soon. So I've planning, well, I don't know. I think maybe I'll just do it and then I'll tell you once I do it. And then that might be the best way for me to do that. Looking forward to seeing that again. Oh, that means a lot. Be the best of me. Thank you for telling me. Okay. I think I am probably going to close it there. If I were, I might do like just a tiny bit of self-promotion at the end here, just to be transparent, I guess. Not that all of this is for self-promotion. Genuinely, I hope you receive the most in all the best ways for the highest good from these and all the things I put out, whether it's for free or paid for or anything. A 7, I can channel, but I don't know how to improve it. Any advice, please? They said to talk about that right now, so I think I will, and then we'll talk about what I was going to. So the very boring answer, but also not boring answer, is to practice it. If you don't already, like pull out a piece of like paper and like channel write for yourself like every day, or just commit to like 30 days of doing it to improve your channeling. But it's going to sound very simple, but what I'm hearing is like the more you do it, the better you get, and the more you purify through doing it and get it honed in, and the more you're using it in your daily life to like potentially, if you feel ready for it, help make choices or just channel a message you need for that day or things like that. And it all starts to kind of come together as you're putting into practice more. Or if you do healing sessions or work, like another piece of advice that typically comes through for people is like do more Reiki sessions for like people, and like you're putting yourself in the position to like practice using your gifts to help people. You're also like, well, there's a lot of different things I could say about energy work and things like that. And I know like some of them might be things you've already done, but let me get back to specific advice for you besides just practicing it. Anything else that would help you with it? I would listen to more people who channel that really resonate for you, and it doesn't have to be me. But that can also just really spark that awake more if you're just spending time in that energy, with people, especially like the full channel mode messages. Like there's only like a few people that really do it that have really resonated with the messages and liked them. Like Lee Harris is one of them for me. I'll watch Lee Harris all day. Definitely one of my go-to people I'd listen to for channeling. Besides that, I pretty much listen to my guides myself. So like just anyone who does it that you can listen to, whether it's me or not, it does not have to be me, would if they're good and they resonate for you, would be good for you to check out too and just listen to more of. For general advice for other people who are listening, if this doesn't apply to you, but honestly, one thing that helped me open up my gifts was learning like energy work, like the Reiki attunements and things like that. And they actually want me to stop talking and go in a different direction. So what else do you want me to talk about specifically for the person who asked about it? If you can, I know it sounds lame, but practice like giving readings to other people, whether it's you use cards or not. Again, you're putting yourself in that energy of like practicing your intuition and your channeling, and it's just going to keep opening up from there. And another thing you could also do is just really set the strong intention that your channeling ramps up and expands in the highest and best ways for you. And then just really commit to a practice to like keep doing it. And I know it sounds like boring, but I sometimes don't know if I always have like super crazy, like, oh, go to Mount Shasta, meditate for 30 days, spin around 3 times, do a backflip, and you'll channel better. Like I don't always, sometimes I do get really specific things for people, but I don't always. It's like for me, it was almost like a slow uncovering as I first learned I could do it and then practice it and like showed up and kept doing it, if that makes sense. But if you haven't learned energy work, I'd also look into that because that also helped open me up through the attunements and like just working with the energy self sessions and things like that. And I know that was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully something in there was helpful. I totally understand. And even if it's just like practice with friends or like pulling cards for yourself, it doesn't have to be like you're charging $1 million for readings right away or something like that. But if you're like, hey, I'm trying this thing, do you mind if we just throw cards together or something? Could be a great idea to practice it. Okay. They're saying I need to close the live soon. So what should I talk about before we close the live here? I don't know. I guess not much more. I guess I can close it now. If I did self-promote, I do. I have a membership if you're interested, where there's just weekly like channel timeless pick a card readings, or not pick a card, it's pick a readings, and it's more channeling. Sometimes there's cards. Then there's like a monthly full channel mode message that's like they've tended to be about 45 minutes to an hour, 30 minutes like minimum. That comes through, and then there's, depending on the level you get, there's other things. So if you're interested, cool. If not, I'll be here next week, so no worries. Thank you, Megan. Do I teach Reiki? I do. I need to schedule classes, but I do teach Reiki. So if you're interested, you can drop me an email maybe, or just through the contact form on my website, and I can just definitely like reach out when I have classes scheduled. But I should also be scheduling a bunch of classes soon, so that should just be ready to go soon. Anyways, and I guess that's it right now that I would like to talk about. So I know there's more I could, but okay. So I hope that was just, this live has been good for those of you who stuck around this whole way through. And again, I appreciate you. I appreciate getting to do this for you. You guys are awesome. And I will see you on another post or another live or some other time for sure. Love these readings. Thank you, Spice Wolf. I'm so glad to hear it. And you guys have you have an amazing rest of your day, and all of you have an amazing rest of your day as well. Thank you, Heather Vibes. Oh, and Megan, to answer your fire, it is coming along. It's just, it was slower than I thought it would be, but that's okay. And I suppose they'll be ready when they're meant to be ready. But I will absolutely be in touch about that in the future for sure. Okay, you guys take care, okay? And I will see you later. But I am sending love. And anything else I should say? I'm wishing you the best for the highest good for each of you.